Oh, it shows you the countdown on your screen too?
Yeah. What, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I didn't know. I know it showed both. I thought it was just on mine. But
No,
all
I
right,
got
guys,
it
this is
too.
episode 3 of the. God, my cat just came in here like a maniac. But today's episode 3 of the podcast today. And Chase, if you just want to introduce yourself, like your name, where you're from, all that shit,
What's going on,
start it
guys?
up.
First off, thank you, Ryan, for having me. My name is Chase Bednarek. I'm from Bordentown, New Jersey, and I met this handsome man, Ryan, at Performance Strength Academy. What, like, how long ago? Few years now. We met there, and then eventually we
Yeah, probably.
migrated over
Yeah.
to.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, eventually we both migrated over to Iron Revolution in Howell, and
I would say, why is it break? I was breaking up for a second. There we go. We're good. But yeah, that is crazy. I forgot we. I've trained. I haven't trained that in so long at Iron at PSA. I totally forgot that that's where we met. That was such a long time ago. What the fuck? My cat is going crazy back here.
have you been back there at all or no?
What'd you say? Oh, the Wi-Fi is like breaking up.
Have you been back there
Oh,
at
there
all or
we go.
no?
Now it was breaking up for a
Uh,
second.
at PSA.
No, I haven't. No, I. You know what's funny? Like, because I kept a membership because it's closer to my house, so I had my membership for a while there. But it was just I stopped going just because it was like once I go to Iron, it's just like it's hard to go anywhere else.
I agree. I've been there sporadically, maybe like a few times. I heard they got some like newer back stuff. Well, not new stuff, but like old, new back
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
or whatever. And I like some of it. I just, it's not as vibey as it used to be, I
yeah.
guess. So
Exactly.
I'm mainly an hour, just like you. Sometimes I'll go to my other gym here and there. So,
Yeah, like when it's like an arm day, it's like I can go anywhere for arms. But
dude, I can go in my basement and train arms if I want. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's not that bad.
exactly. Oh, you have stuff at your house?
Yeah. So
What do you-
when all the COVID shit happened, bro, it was that. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can
Okay.
hear. You.
What was I saying? So with the whole COVID fucking bullshit, that weekend prior to everything shutting down, in my gut, I'm like, yo, I said everything's gonna shut down. I just know it. I said the gym's gonna close, everything's gonna close. So it was like that Thursday or Friday prior. I started going on like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, all this shit to try to find gym equipment, like something for the house. So I found something over in Tom's River. I was gonna go. A couple of my buddies were gonna help me, and one had a truck to go pick it up. And then the one guy, he's like, "Yo, my dad's got something just like that." It's like we live right a street over. So I'm like, "All right, I'll go check it out." It was literally the same shit. It wasn't like the brand or whatever, bro. I got the job done. I gave him like $800. I bought that. I brought it to the house.
Yeah.
That got me through all of COVID in my basement. It's like one of those multi-cable things. It's got like a leg extension, a leg curl, like a
Oh yeah,
fly,
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
pull down. Like
Like
it's
the
one of
thing you
those.
do
You know what I
push
mean?
everything on. Like a
And that's
functional.
what got me through all that. So yeah, exactly. But for like you said, like arms, bro, like I easily go down there and,
Yeah,
and, and do an arm workout. Other stuff's a little bit more difficult, like legs. But for that time period,
yeah.
you got the job done. I got a little creative. You know what I mean?
Well,
So putting like the
yeah,
handle on my
exactly.
foot and
Definitely
laying
with
down,
that, it was like that.
doing
It's
one
like
leg like.
you had to do anything. People were doing like push-ups on their couch, like doing bench press on their couch and stuff like that during that phase.
Bro, that was like, dude, I would literally go to ShopRite and like Walmart because I was so bored. Like I worked from home, I worked out at home, I ate at home. I literally would just
Yeah,
walk around. I didn't even buy anything, bro. I just walked out because I was so fucking bored, bro. Just to get out of the house. I couldn't take it. So
yeah. Oh, you were working from home when that happened.
yeah, yeah. They
Did
they
you
they
did
got
you work?
they put once it all started. What's up?
I said, did you work from home before COVID or
What was
no?
that?
Did you work from home before COVID or they
So
started that? COVID?
so before COVID, it was like a more of a hybrid model
Okay.
where 3 days a week in the office, 2 days a week at home. And once COVID happened, obviously everyone got sent home, where everybody's home for like the longest time, whatever it was, a year, 2 years, I don't know. And then eventually we went
Yeah.
back, and bro, it was never the same. Like, wasn't as many people in the office. Nobody really wanted to be there. I'd go in the office. At this point in time, mind you, it's like $5 a gallon for gas too. So I
Yeah.
go in the office. There's nobody really there. I got meetings. They're still virtual. I'm not meeting with anyone in person. And then eventually they gave our team like the option, like, yo, either you could continue to do hybrid or you stay home. Mind you, this was like right after my father passed away.
Okay.
So, I'm an only child and, I wanted to be there for my mom easily, not worry about
Yeah.
things. So I chose to stay home. So ever since then, I just stayed working from home because it honestly just didn't make sense anymore.
Right.
So here and there, I would bump it, like go in, just go for the day, stuff like that. But nothing is scheduled where I had to be there this many days
Yeah.
and such and so on and so forth. So
How far is the
I've just
commute?
been
How far
remote.
is the commute to work if you do go in the office? How far is it?
Oh, it's 15, 20 minutes,
Okay,
depending on
not too
traffic.
crazy.
It's really not bad,
Okay, yeah,
you know. No,
yeah,
it's really not bad. But like you go in after that, after all that happened, bro. You go in like not like the camaraderie's not there. There's not really people
right,
there. It's like, what am I
yeah,
doing here? Like my
yeah,
whole team's not here. I'm
exactly.
just sitting at a desk and like nobody's here. I'm just here by myself. What the fuck am I doing here, bro? Like
Yeah,
so.
let's stay home.
But yeah, that's what happened basically.
Okay. Well, you said you're an only child.
Yes, sir. I'm an only. How about
Okay.
you? You only child? You got siblings?
No, I have an older brother, a younger brother, and a younger sister too. But that's I. They always say like it's
Oh,
like.
nice.
Do you think it would? Do you think like that was? Did you like being an only child, or did you like when you were like? Because I know people like when they grew up, they're always like, "Oh, I wish I had an older brother," and stuff like that, or not really.
Well, yeah, I mean, I always wish I had kind of had somebody maybe older
Mhm.
to, learn from their mistakes, maybe.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, I think there's pros and cons. I think there's pros and cons to
yeah,
things. Like having siblings, there's pros and cons. Being alone, there's pros and cons. For me, I always felt like everything was my fault,
yeah,
kind of deal. The dog could shit on the rug.
yeah,
I might get blamed for it. But yo, it wasn't me. I didn't shit on the rug. So, like little shit
yeah,
like that. But like my parents loved me. They really, really, really loved me. I have no complaints. I wouldn't change anything. This was my path in life to be an only child, so I
yeah,
accept it. If I changed that, then I wouldn't be me.
yeah,
If I
exactly.
had
Yeah,
a sibling, I would be different.
yeah,
So like I said, I think there's pros and cons. I think there's pros and cons to like both type situations.
for sure.
So,
Did you have like
how about you? You wish you were an only child?
no, no, no. I like having an older brother, and like you said, like it makes you who you are. Because I definitely like there's so much stuff in my life that like so much stuff I did based off like my older brother. Like when I was a kid, it's like not all good stuff, but it's like, but like still, it's just like funny stuff. It's just like my older brother smoked cigarettes, so I smoked
Right.
cigarettes. So it's just like stuff like that. It's like not that I was happy I smoked cigarettes, but I'm just saying like so that's just like stuff I can remember that I did
Right.
based off
Right.
my older brother what he did. So it's just like I'm sure there's so many things subconsciously I do based off what my older brother did that I don't even realize I do. That's just something I know I smoke cigarettes because I know he did. So it was kind of like, oh, he smoked cigarettes. I want to smoke cigarettes. So I'm sure there's 1,000 things I've done based off that. So it's pretty crazy to think like how different my life is based off like because I had a brother like when I was young, and it was just like it is crazy to think like, damn, if I didn't have that, like, who would I be based off of like just my own stuff? Because it's like a lot
Right.
of the stuff I do is based off what he did. So that's pretty crazy to think like how much, and then it's makes you think like how much of just like your life in general is like molded off like society, like based off of like what society says is okay.
Oh,
So that's what you
100%.
do. Because I was literally having a
Oh,
conversation with somebody.
100%, bro. Whatever.
Good.
No, go ahead.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
having a
go
conversation.
ahead.
With somebody, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were talking about like seeing somebody with like dyed hair, purple, and it's just like so crazy to think like it's just not society, it's just like socially acceptable to like if you're a CEO of like a bank or something like that, you're not probably gonna like tattoo your face and shave your head and like. But it's like, but that might be what you want to do, but it's like that's just like oh, society says don't do that because like you're the chief of staff there, so it's like. It's so funny to think like what our lives would look like if there was no like outside influence on like what you would actually like.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think
It's so
like me, like I didn't have siblings, so a lot of who I was
yeah,
was shaped by like as far as in the home wise, obviously my
yeah,
parents, and I could see that as I got older. Like my mother
yeah,
was always more outgoing. My
mhm,
father was a bit more reserved, so I'm a bit of both. Like I can be a bit more. I'm not shy. I'm more
yeah,
reserved. Like maybe I'm not saying much, but I'm watching. I'm paying attention.
yeah,
I'm understanding. The connections between people, stuff like that. Or I'm very outgoing. Like I'll go talk some shit or joke around, but
yeah,
it's usually like I build some sort of comfortability. I don't just come out with myself necessarily immediately. I try to find some sort of grounding and understand my surroundings
Yeah,
and the people, and then I start to open up. I don't want to just throw myself out there. I guard myself.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
think by default, which I think you should in some sense. You know what I mean? Because somebody
yeah,
who just tells everybody everything, I mean, that's not good either. So,
yeah.
but I could
That's
see like
that's
what
the
you're
thing
saying, like
too.
what you and your brother, like a lot of what he was, you are. So for me, since I don't have siblings, like
Yeah,
I'm a lot of like what my parents were by default. And of course, friends and stuff
yeah.
help to influence you as time goes, of course, too. So
So that like, do you think your parents like you said, like, do you look up to your parents a lot, or like you think that just you're like them because just because that's how you're raised, or you are base a lot of who you are off them because like they were like role models coming up, like your dad, like was he like a big influence in your life coming up, or it was kind of just like subconscious, or did you actively try to be like him?
when I when I was young, bro, like I wanted to be just like him. Like if because he was like he was always in construction, right? But like if he was outside of the work
Yeah,
setting, he liked to dress nice.
mhm.
So he'd be like hanging
Yeah,
out in our house in like nicer clothes and stuff. Like he would. So when I was really little, I don't know if you remember these jackets. Remember, like, who Steven Seagal is? Remember Steven
yeah,
Seagal, the
yeah,
jackets he would wear in some of his movies?
yeah,
Okay, so you know how it was like almost like a bomber jacket, but with like that
yeah,
padding, like it was
yeah,
like a bigger. There was really pop. So my father would wear a lot of those. So he with that certain shirts he would wear. Bro, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was like dress just like him. I tried to get like him. But we were out in the store when I was a little kid. It was like be like a men's dress store. Like looking for stuff to like match my father. Like when I was really little, I like tried to be like just like him. Um,
mhm.
as I got older, I think it was like by default, And then as you get
Yeah,
older, you start to understand the good things that you've taken from people, the bad things you've taken from people, because nobody's perfect, right? So you try
yeah,
to understand yourself a bit better, and then like realize where you can do work, and then try to improve. Understand why you're that way, and then see what you
yeah,
can do to fix it or to improve. So I think it's for me a
mhm,
little bit of a mix, I'd say.
yeah. And how you said your dad passed away? How many years ago did he pass away? And like, what was the cause of that?
That that was actually a little over 3 years. It was actually so the last time I competed, it was like literally a month before the show. So that was like
Oh my
terrible
god,
timing.
literally,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, so we had my cousin's wedding, and I don't know. I was in the wedding, and I don't know. I apparently had like some, not like a feeling, like physical feeling, but like almost like a gut feeling, like
yeah,
something was off. Something felt like something was gonna happen. Kind of. I don't know. I didn't know this until after the fact. My mother told me. So we went. Everything's fine. Whatever. Apparently some people there at the table had COVID or something like that. I don't
mhm,
know. And it wasn't too long after he started to get sick. He's in bed all the time, didn't have an appetite, wasn't eating. He was like losing control of his bowel movements. Like, trying to like rush to the
yeah,
bathroom to go and maybe have an accident or something. Nothing gross,
mhm,
but
yeah,
and then he fell a few times. And the last time he had fallen, he actually fell in my parents' bathroom, and you hear like a big thud. So I'm like, oh my
yeah,
god! I knew immediately what happened. I run up there, and he's like in their closet, like on his back, like just not moving, and like I stopped for a second because I was like in disbelief at like what I mean,
yeah,
just to see that like your father's there like not moving.
yeah,
So I helped him up or whatever, and I talked to my mother. I'm like, yo, we have to do something. Like this isn't right. There's like a finger test. There's like an oxygen finger test. I forget what they call
yeah.
the actual thing. Maybe you know what I'm
Pulse
talking
ox or
about.
something like that.
You check your oxygen
Yeah,
levels. Yeah, something like that. So checked his oxygen. It was like severely low, like really, really low,
oh
and
my
that's
god,
why he was all like kind of discombobulated.
yeah,
So we got him took him to the hospital. He, was very weak. I get him to move, get him down the steps, get him in the car, all this stuff, brought him to the hospital. And bro, we're there 5 minutes, not even. And the guy comes, oh, you got to move your car. I'm like, dude, really? Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Anyway,
yeah,
they admitted him. And truthfully, that was the last time I saw him when we dropped him off because this was during all that weird period where you couldn't visit,
yeah,
and then you find out after the fact of, them checking on a patient, bro. They didn't like, how we like dap each other up in the gym. We check like,
yeah,
yo, everything
yeah,
good, or we're close, right,
mhm,
in the gym, bro.
yeah,
Like they don't go up. They weren't go up to people. Like they were like, my father was in the bed They're like outside the window like this, like checking if he's good. Like they weren't like, so he was like totally alone. You don't find this out until after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they had his oxygen and stuff like that, and issues with the eating, and then because of that, whatever, blah blah blah. So he was probably in there for like, actually his birthday was while he was in there. He turned 70.
Okay.
He was there maybe like a few weeks, and then it was like a Friday. It was like a Friday, I think. I think they tried to do the ventilator thing. I forget. I know they did the ventilator at one point. I don't know, like towards the end, but it was a Friday. He passed, and then I called my mother. Hey, how long do you want us to resuscitate him for, bro? How do you answer that question? Like, dude, just like
12 minutes.
just
That's
do
it.
2 minutes, and then he tells to come back. Yeah, forget about it. Don't worry about it. Like, how do you answer that question, bro? Like, just do your best. Like, that shouldn't even be a question.
And why you
They brought him
consulting
back
me?
after so many minutes.
Hmm?
No, exactly. Like, how do you answer that? So they brought him back after so many minutes, and I guess however many minutes it was that passed, like he more than likely, if he were to survive, he probably would have been a vegetable because his oxygen to the brain wasn't getting there long. Like it was too long without it, so he wouldn't have supposedly been able to function anyway. So they brought him back. Saturday rolls around. He seems like he's, I guess, maybe doing better. Than Sunday rolls around. I was out, whatever, and I stopped by the house and or came in and she's on the phone. I knew immediately when I walked in like what the deal was. And when I guess the nurse calls her and says, basically, we're holding your husband's hand, basically letting my mother know like he's passing, like, and my point is like we couldn't visit, we couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like some
Exactly.
stranger is holding my father's hand, letting my mother know that he's dying. Then once he passed, oh, you can come see him now if you want. Like, bro, really? Like, so we didn't really see him until from when we dropped him off to finally at the viewing, and I didn't even tell anybody because we had to wait.
Yeah.
So if I started telling people who passed, then people start calling,
Yeah.
texting, this, like you didn't even say, we didn't even see him yet, and then to deal with all
Yeah.
that. So not until we like had that, like, did we start telling people and everything. But as far as how he passed, so he did tested positive for COVID, and I'm sure maybe you know this, but a lot of people who had it, like he had health issues anyway, high blood pressure, diabetes, he had a few heart attacks, so he had issues already. So anyone like that is more susceptible to anything that happens.
Exactly.
So, he had that, and it turned into double pneumonia, which was very common for people who got that, and it kind of just spiraled from there. Like I said, eventually they had to put him on the ventilator, which is basically a fucking death zone.
Yeah.
And the hospitals made money for every person they put on the ventilator. So
Yeah.
I can get into a whole discussion about all this fucking bullshit, but it's not about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically what happened. So it's just like I think my only I guess I regret, like I feel like I went nuts and just forced my way into the hospital, but like, bro, I would have been arrested or shot maybe, like,
Yeah.
like because we weren't allowed to visit, and I didn't get to see my
Exactly.
father. So you feel bad that you didn't because we weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
So it was like a little bit of a shitty situation, to say the least.
Yeah.
But that's basically what happened. So, but I visit him every week. I visit him every week at the cemetery, and I visit my my mother's parents, my grandmother and grandfather every week because they're at the same cemetery in the mausoleum. So I go every week to visit and everything. So, yeah, that's the gist of the story.
That's crazy. That's crazy because I know like a lot of people like passed away during COVID, but I didn't have that. Like you just hear on the news like XYZ amount people passed away, but and like the same thing. Like I never heard anyone's like personal story of like having someone pass away during COVID and like that, how you had to deal with that, like with the hospital and like because you just hear the numbers. You hear people passed away during COVID and it was horrible.
Bro.
But it was like I didn't hear I never heard like a firsthand story of like someone actually having to experience that, and it is. I mean, that's literally, it's horrible. It's already a horrible situation in general to like have someone pass. And then to think like you have to deal with that on top. It's just like, it's such a vulnerable time in your life. And then it's like, you can't even just have the little bit of like grace to just be there the last couple of minutes. It's insane.
Well, like I said, I could get into the whole topic of all that stuff and talk ad nauseum about it, but like, it doesn't help. Like, they're not getting any human interaction, nothing from their loved ones. That all plays a role in some sort of recovery, bro. Even if someone's in a coma and you're talking to them, touching them, that makes a difference. Just like when a child's born, like how you talk to them and how you touch them and love them, all makes a difference in their development. So, in a way that didn't help. and I would say it's probably done on purpose if I had to say my opinion.
Yeah.
And as far as that, as far as the loved ones, and then as far as the nurses themselves, that they couldn't come and like go actually
Yeah.
check on them. They're just like this. Oh, he's still alive. Let me go do something else. It's
Exactly.
ridiculous, And plus, wasn't eating. He had hunger. They wouldn't feed him. Oh, we can't do it because of the oxygen. But like, well, figure it out, bro. Like, figure it out. Like, But the
Yeah.
one nurse was very good with my mother. He was very, very communicated a lot with her to try to do what he could. But some of them, bro, like they didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, because not because they're bad people, but I think
Yeah.
anything that you do, you get used to. So if you're in that type of and it's not an excuse. I think it's the truth. I think if you're in that environment and you're dealing with patients and people who are sick and dying, and you become I want to say immune to it.
Yeah.
You're more immune to it. You're so used to it. Yes, you're so used to it. It's like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal. Like it's
Exactly.
just like
that's kind of
because you see it all the time.
Yeah, that's kind of scary to think though. That is like the truth though, because it's like, because I've known like people who are nurses and stuff like that, and just like you tell them the stories, like, oh yeah, like this dude came in, like lost his leg in a car accident. It's like that's just like a regular day to them. It's just like they just see stuff like that every day. Like, but it's like if it's your loved one who just lost their leg, it's like that's like a earth shattering moment for these people, and it's like for you, it's just like, oh, it's just a Tuesday. It's just crazy. I wonder like how that's got to play like that's
absolutely crazy.
How long your parents were still together when he passed? How long were they together for total? Do you know? Like how long were they married?
Well, I know. Well, he passed at 70, and I know that they got together. I think they're 7 years apart, so I think he was at least in his 30s, and she was in her 20s. So let's just say approximately 40 years, if not 40, maybe like 30 something altogether. So let's just say 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think growing up and seeing that type of relationship, like with your parents, what they had, like being together for 40 years and like obviously through thick and thin, ups and downs of that, but sticking through it, do you think that like programmed something in your brain of like how you see relationships or like what you want in a relationship? Or I mean, some people like see their parents' relationship and like, I don't want anything like that.
Look, bro, my mother was a virgin when she got married. So, girl, I mean, this is a whole other topic, bro, but like, girls nowadays are not everybody, not everyone, and there's faults on the guy's side too. To be fair, nobody's perfect, either sex, and there's only two, by the way, only two sexes, only two genders. But because that's a relationship. Like you're not the Brady Bunch. There's going to be issues. So when things happen, I don't view them as like I don't want to deal with this. Go to the next thing. For me, little issues are like, all right. I look at it as an opportunity because if you come together and it's you two versus the problem, not you versus each other. If you're able to overcome whatever that issue is, you now can come closer together because now you have a better understanding of each other. You got through it together, and now you're closer together. A lot of times, people nowadays, like, bro, like the littlest thing. If I could tell you stories of little things I've dealt with, it's like
it's crazy.
But little things that happen, they're ready to go to the next person because I don't want to deal with this. That's not a relationship. You're always going to have some problem. I don't care if it's like an argument about a piece of paper or an actual serious matter. You're going to have issues. It just matters how you deal with it. And I think that nowadays a lot of people are just everyone's broken in some capacity. So it's like broken person, and then they break each other a little bit more to go on to the next broken people. Like nobody actually takes the time to like, let me just be alone for a bit. Let me live in some solitude, focus on these things, recognize what my issues are, learn, grow, and then I'm a better person for the right person or whatever. People like look at things a bit differently. So obviously seeing them together for so long when, especially nowadays, bro, like the divorce rate's so high. And don't get me wrong, sometimes maybe it's warranted. I'm not saying fight through a marriage no matter what. I mean, if you're getting beat every day or something, anything like there's. I'm not saying it's obviously you try to stay together, but sometimes there's a real reason to get a divorce. But sometimes you hear these reasons and it's like, what?
Yeah,
really?
Exactly.
Like, what did you get married for? If I get married, I want to get married. Like to get married, like, that's it. It's done. Like I don't want to do this again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So I definitely helped to shape what I think a marriage should be in as far as getting through things together, being together, not entertaining other things, and being loyal to each other. You know what I mean? Because you then become like a team. You're individuals, but you're a team now. And
exactly.
I think it definitely plays a certain type of morals and values type of fabric in me, and what I see and what I want and stuff like that. And there's, like I said, there's people like me out there that are
Right.
like-minded. Just
Mhm.
it's a matter of finding who you work well with. That's for anything.
Yeah.
So
It is crazy to think like the modern day. I feel like that's just like not even just like in dating in general. I feel like it's just like society as a whole. It's like that's like a bigger issue on scale because it's like yeah, like so like they just like if one little issue they throw it away. But I feel like if you look at back at older generations, like my dad has the same one pair of shoes for 40 years, or like he wears the same pair of boots for 10 years straight. Nowadays, like someone they scuff their sneakers, like oh, I don't wear them anymore. I'll get a new pair, or anything like they get a new car. It's like oh, like this car is 80,000 miles on it. I'll get a new one. It's like back then, like people would literally drive cars to like 400,000 miles or something like that, or like put a new engine in it, put this in it, keep redoing it and doing it and doing it, and keep making it last. Now everything is like so. It's just like oh, just get rid of it, get something else. And I feel like a lot of people don't like conflict in
I
life. So
think
like,
it's
what was that?
no, you're go with the
I
conflict
feel like a lot
because
of
I
people just don't
100%
like
agree.
conflict. I feel like people avoid conflict so much that they'd rather, like, even if they are like in a good relationship and they do like the person, but a big issue comes up, instead of like having a conversation and like being honest and like being vulnerable, a lot of people don't want to be taken like be vulnerable and like deal with conflict. They'd rather just avoid the issue. They're like, okay, well, I'll just break up with him or break up with her because I don't like, but like deep down, it's because they don't want to sit there and have the real conversation on like, why did you act that? Like, if like say if I messed up and I did something wrong, like say I cheated on my girlfriend, instead of me like internalizing like why would I do that? Like why do like it might be something deeper. Like I have a good situation, or like am I self sabotaging or something like that? Instead of like me having them internal thoughts and like, actually thinking like what am I doing this for? Like why did I just sabotage this relationship? Because this might be a pattern. Instead of having that conversation and actually breaking stuff down and figuring it out, it's just like okay, well screw that. I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. And then it's like it could be a lot. People don't want to have that like the deeper conversations with themselves or their partners on like why shit actually happens. I feel like that's
Well, it's a very hard I think it's a very hard thing to look at yourself in the mirror
it is.
and take full responsibility and accountability for everything good and bad in
Yeah,
your life, and stop pointing fingers. Say, "Oh, it's their fault. They hurt me. They hurt me." Because when you do that, you're not accepting anything on your end. Like if
exactly.
say you're with someone and you're dating someone, they hurt you.
Mhm.
Okay, they may have been wrong, but if
Yeah,
you just keep going like this, them, you
yeah,
chose to date them.
yeah,
You made that choice to date that person, right? So take some
exactly,
responsibility of your own. Maybe you ignored some things in the beginning. I know in my past I have. Looking back, I'm like, oh shit, like maybe I should have paid attention to that, because that's where the
exactly.
experience comes in. Now I hear or see something. Oh, okay, make a little note of that in my head. Make a little note of that in my head. So you have a better gauge of things. But it's very hard to do that, and that's where I think people fall. And again, everyone's afraid of being hurt, and
Mhm.
if you and the communication is like the biggest factor. If you do something, especially in the beginning, like when you meet someone,
Yeah,
like you're kind of setting the tone for the relationship, right?
mhm.
So if other person is doing things that you don't like,
Yeah,
you have to address it fairly soon and communicate that,
exactly.
like, hey, I'm not really too fond of this, whatever. See how they respond, see what they say, and if it's something that you can rectify, and if they can't, and say you're not okay with that. Like I got this advice years ago. If there's something about a woman that you can't get over, even if it's her toes too long, don't
Mhm.
marry her, because you're
Yeah,
never going to get over it.
exactly.
Whatever it is that you don't like, you have to be able to accept it. You may not like it, but you can live with it. You can
Yeah,
tolerate it, whatever it
exactly.
is.
Yeah.
So, but you have to communicate. You have to communicate with the other person and
Mhm.
be open and honest with the other person. And sometimes, even I've experienced this too. You're very good with communicating. You communicate, they get uncomfortable because they don't know how to communicate
Exactly.
themselves.
Yeah.
That's people in general too, not just
Yeah.
relationships. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So I agree
Yeah.
with you completely.
Like I said, a lot of, that just that goes back to thinking a lot of people just don't like conflict in general. Like because it's like they're not good at communicating, and they don't want to feel like uncomfortable in a situation. So it's easier to just avoid and detract or blame somebody else. It's like you said, like that's. But it's so funny that like we stay away from communication. Like you said, like in the beginning of a relationship, it's like, oh, this girl's doing this. Like she might be this little quirk I don't like about her. Not that it's even a big deal, but like, or like she makes these jokes, of, like, or she's rude to the staff at a restaurant. And it's like that might not be seem anything, but like if you let that ride for 6 months and then like you snap and have this huge big outburst about it, but it's like she could have been like if you would have had a conversation
Exactly.
6 months ago, she could have been like, oh, you don't like that? That's no problem. I don't like that's not something that like a moral of mine I hold deeply value to that I cannot change. Like, oh, you don't like that? No problem. I'll stop doing it. No big deal. But it's like, if you never had that conversation, nobody knows. So then it's like, if you don't know, you don't know. Then like it becomes bigger issues. And then once the big issue, like, okay, well, just trash that relationship. But it's like, if you would have just started off in the beginning as open communication, it might not have been having to break up. It could have just been like from the beginning, like, oh, a girl doesn't like that I do this. Okay, no problem. I don't care to do that. I just do it because it's just like out of habit. But if I know it's the person I'm with doesn't like it, it's something I could easily change. Not saying like people need to change for relationships, but it's like something as simple as like any like just weird little stuff that it's like not like big deal.
Well, I think it's like a double, like this type of stuff is like a double-edged sword. Where in the capacity that we're talking right now, it's like it's like an improvement. Like you change something about yourself to better not only yourself but your relationship. Like it's like minor stuff, but the other side is like, what are you trying to change in that person? What don't you like? Are you trying to change them to be what you want them to be?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still allowing them to be who they genuinely are? You know what I mean? So that's like the flip side. So you got to be careful of like what it is that's bothering you, and is that changing the other person? Because if you try to change the other person, even if they change, they're going to resent you at some point.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you can't change someone. They have to. You know, even bad habits, bro. Like you're talking about smoking. If you want to stop smoking, you have to stop for yourself. You can't do it for other people. Like you have to want to really do it. Otherwise, you're never going to truly kick it. You know?
Yeah. But more, I would say more like stupid stuff. Like you think like, because I know like this, like in relationships, like say like every weekend you watch football with your boys all day. And it's like, hey, like, and she never brings anything up. And it's like, okay, then she's like, you never spend any time with me, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, well, if you would have told me, I could maybe watch one game with my boys and then chill with you the rest of the day. Or you can come with me. Or, you know, it's like every other weekend. But it's like, if you never make that a situation where I didn't know it was bothering you that I did that. So now that I know, like, if you would have told me in the beginning, like, we could have made some compromises. Like, hey, okay, I'll just watch the night game with my boys, but I'll stay home with you all day. Or on Saturday, I'll spend the whole day with you Saturday because you know Sunday I'm going to be out. So, but it's like, but if you don't ever like raise that as an issue in the beginning, then it's like it keeps boiling up, and then it's like, okay, well, like fuck this dude, he never wants to spend time with me. He's always with his friends. We're done. And it's like, but it's like I would have easily took time out of my day on Saturday to hang out with you, or you could have came on Sundays, or like, you know, that's what's so funny to think like that's like open communication leads to so much, like not having good communication leads to so many problems that are so easily avoidable that it's just like, if you don't know, you don't know. So it's just like so many problems can be avoided by just being open and honest. It's just so crazy. So it's weird that people like would try to avoid that. 100%. You would assume people would want to be like,
my bad.
No, you're good. You would assume people would want to be like overly communicative because it's like, I don't want to leave nothing untouched so that I know nothing's going to fall back on me that I didn't tell you, because I want to be super ahead of the schedule here. And I want to let you know everything. So that way nothing that comes back where it's like, well, you never told me that. It's like, well, I told you everything. So
you assume that you do like, you know, as you get to know somebody, you do like, you know, you don't like you meet somebody the first time, you don't dump everything on them. But like, yo, this is me. They'll be like, yeah, I'd be like, oh, shit. You do obviously you do little drips over time. You get to know the person, understand them, or whatever. But like we were saying about hanging with your guys, I also realized like more so from when I was younger, dating, you know, and stuff like, you know, when someone new, like you're just with the girl all the time, like all you want to do is spend time with the girl. You realize as I've gotten older, I'm like, all right, you can't, like that's cool, like you can spend time with your girl, but like you need time with your friends, just like she needs time with her friends. You have to have separate lives a bit too, but still with respecting each other. You know what I mean? Yeah, like you have to have that time away, because then you appreciate each other a little bit more. Sure. Not that you're just glued at the hip and, you know, 24/7. Like you have to have like your time away too, in a sense, you know, to have a better relationship, I think, and a healthier relationship. Exactly. In my opinion. So, but that's like stuff you learn, you know, as you get older. Because when you're younger, you like don't realize that stuff. It's like, oh, my girlfriend, I'm hanging out with my girlfriend. I'm with my girlfriend. Like it's lovey-dovey shit.
It is. Exactly. It is so funny. And it is so funny to think like when you, because it's like what you said, like you always ask everybody, it's like obviously you don't, most people like say there's no regrets, but it is not like a regret, but it's so funny like how, like you said, like there's stuff you get experience in life, like when you just get more mature and stuff like that. Not that you have regrets, but it's like, damn, like if I would have known how to like conduct myself like this 10 years ago, it's like my life might have been a lot more easier. But obviously like my life brought me here the way I was before, so that's where I'm here now. But it's just so funny to think like, wow, like when I was 10 years ago, I thought I had a lot of like life experience. I thought I knew everything. And now it's just so funny to think like 10 years later, it's like, wow, I didn't know anything back then. And it's funny to think like, damn, in 10 years, am I going to look back at it now and think I didn't know anything? It's just so crazy to think like you're always learning and evolving and stuff like that. And that's another thing with relationships too. It's like it's just like the longer and actually you put effort in and stuff like that. It's like they just get better because it's like you learn people better, you learn the relationship better.
Oh yeah, well you have to have I mean, but it stems from like what you said about communication. Like there's like couples that I've heard like they'll have like once a week when they get together for like their date night, they'll have an actual conversation topic as was there anything like this week that I did that maybe bothered you or said that bothered
Yeah,
you, and they'll like I guess make notes of these things in their head or
yeah,
physically make notes or whatever, and they'll discuss it. They'll communicate about hey this and that. Like I didn't I felt a certain way when you did this, bro.
yeah.
That's so healthy as opposed to just like
I would say that's
avoiding everything.
amazing.
To be able to communicate like that with somebody. Because for me, look, we're men, right? We love girls. We see this, oh, that looks good. This looks good. That looks good. For me now, like as I get older, like to me to really get interested in you, like the looks isn't enough. Like I have to be able to connect with you.
Yeah,
Like I'm very like my personality. Like I'm laid back, I'm chill, or whatever. But I'm very sarcastic. I'm witty. Like you have to be able to like get with that. Like you get it and give it
yeah,
back. Like that type of banter, like I enjoy. So like
yeah,
if you can't do that with me, like if I can't connect with you on like a deeper level to like really talk about life, it's just all surface level shit. Like bro, I don't
yeah,
get none of that. Like it doesn't like we like opera, bro. That's like some deep shit, right?
yeah.
Like that,
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
that's it's an art, but like if sometimes you tell it somebody like, oh, what's wrong with you?
yeah.
What do you
Exactly.
mean what's wrong with me? I got fucking good taste. What do you mean what's wrong with me?
Exactly.
No, but seriously, like to be able to, if you had say like we were talking about go to opera in a suit in a tux or whatever, like to be able to bring like a woman who's gonna go with you and appreciate that, that would be a beautiful
Yeah,
thing to me.
yeah. Exactly.
But that requires that type of woman would require depth to her, appreciation to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For other things.
Mhm.
So not everybody has that. And guys too. Not everybody has that.
Oh yeah.
You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? So like I'm just saying for me, like with
Yeah. For you personally.
whoever I end up with eventually, like you have to be able to. Yeah, it has to be. I have to be able to get deep with you and really talk about life and understanding each other, not just surface level stuff. Like really get deep. That means a
Mhm.
lot to me personally. I don't know
Yeah.
how
Oh
you
yeah. Me
feel
too.
about
Oh, me
like
too.
that type of stuff or what
That's
you
why I
really
like
do.
started
You
this
know what I mean?
podcast.
So
Yeah, let's say that's literally why I started this podcast. Is I love to like talk deep and like have actual conversations. And like what you said, like what that made me think, like when you said, like you're like the couple that they sit down every week and have a discussion. It's like for us that seems like, oh my god, that would be amazing. I would love that to like have a woman in a relationship that would want to do that too. But then some dudes might hear that and think like, oh fuck, I would never want to do that. Like why would I want to put myself in that situation of like having to like have a conflict every week? It's like because people don't know how to. Some people don't know how to communicate. They just go right to argue. So like they're like, oh, I didn't like you did this, and it's like, oh well, fuck you. Like that's just how I am. You're not gonna tell me I can't do that. So some people don't want to like they don't want a weekly discussion
right.
because to them it's just arguing. But
It's
for
because
people
they
who us,
haven't
like they
people
want to
like
build.
that. Right. And people like that who respond to that capacity haven't really done the reflective work on themselves and trying to answer the question. Like if you answer somebody a question, who are you? Like who am I? Like it's a very hard if we really dig deep into that question, like it's hard. Oh, I'm Chase. No, you're not
Yeah,
Chase. Chase is the name assigned to you
yeah,
assigned to me from your parents at birth, right?
yeah,
Like that's not who I am. Like who
mhm,
are you? And then you keep going and then like, oh, I do this. Well, no, I'm not you're not, you know what I mean? So to be in that capacity of that level of thinking of reflecting on yourself and who you are and all that stuff, like you've done the work to where you're faced with that, you're able to approach it calmly.
mhm,
Now, as a man, you have that other side that's maybe nasty and ferocious when it needs to be aggressive, I guess is a better word.
mhm.
That's appropriate at the appropriate time. You can't walk around like that all day.
Yeah,
You're
no,
going to be like that, aggressive towards everyone. That's not fun. You know what I
exactly.
mean? So you have to be able to have that stuff, you know, how do you say it? Not tolerated, in control of that
Yeah, exactly.
side of you. So when you're approached with a situation like that, you approach it calmly.
Yeah,
You're not approaching it in an emotional capacity because when you're emotional, you never make good decisions.
no,
You're
exactly.
approaching it from a logical capacity. You're just calm and dealing with it. You know what I
That's
mean?
what's yeah.
So ideally, you also have another person like that.
Mm. That's so, and that's so funny to talk about, like being able to like sit there and logically think about it and actually take time to process it. Because it's so funny, like when we're young and you're brought, like you're a kid, or just like in movies and stuff like that. Like you always, like they always portray the person like that like goes to anger. It's always a tough guy. It's always, but it's like now, like when I'm older, I think it's like when I see somebody like go, their first reaction is violence or like they get mad. It's like, I just feel like it's so like emotionally immature to just get so mad. It's like, wow, like someone's triggering your emotions that fast. Like someone's like, oh, you're ugly. Or like someone comes up to you, like, oh, your girl's ugly. Then it's like, you want to physically fight this guy or whatever. It's like, it's so crazy. It feels like it's so like rash decisions and stuff like that. It's like that they just aren't in control of their emotions that like that they could just be brought to anger so quickly. It's just like, to me, it's just such a sign of like, wow, like you have no control over like, just like how you can react. It's so weird that like somebody can like trigger your reactions that fast. It's just such a weird thing. And I guess the same thing goes for anybody, like guys or girls that like want, like you say one thing off base and it's like the reaction is automatically aggression. It's like, I feel like that's like but like when you're young or like when you're like people that you're like thought to like idolize, like in movies or whatever like that. It's like, that's like them. It's like, oh, this dude looked at my girl the wrong way in a movie and like they'll fight him. And it's like, so crazy to think like that's what's idolized. But it's like, I feel like that's like the complete opposite of how you want to conduct yourself. Because it's like, you want to be able to like control yourself and control your emotions and know, like, look at bigger pictures. Like, okay, like he might have said something about my girl, but what's going to be the reaction? Like if I do cause like if I do act aggressive, like what is that going to come out of that? Is he going to learn a lesson? Like, is he going to be like, oh man, that guy was mad, I said something, okay, I'm going to change how I act now? It's like, no, you're not going to change that guy's opinion or how he's acting. And he still said what he said. But now you internalized stress on yourself now. And now you might have got yourself in a bigger situation than needed to be, just off something that you can let roll off your back. It's like, okay, well, I know doesn't matter what his opinion about my girlfriend is or whatever the situation. It's like, you are confident enough to know, like, whatever this guy said doesn't faze me enough to like have to bring me towards anger, that I could just let it go and be, not say be the bigger person, but just be able to control yourself.
Well, I think obviously every situation like that's like you have to assess it individually, you know, because every situation is different. But like in my mind now, like you're kind of to piggyback off what you said, like what is more of a masculine man? A man who can have that side to him but has it under control and can act accordingly in those individual situations and decide which is which and which one, or the man who just reacts emotionally, has no control over himself. Yeah. I mean, who are you going to trust more? A man in control of himself or a man out of control of himself? You know what I mean? Even in your own friend circle. Yeah. We say, not just in a relationship sense, even in your own friend circle, someone who's just always emotional about everything, like always, like, you know, you have to take that into account and, you know, in a lot of different, you know, capacities. But like you said, like a lot of times that's like that in movies and TV shows and stuff, because that's what like is the whole like alpha bullshit, like is just like the stereotypes, like tough guy. I don't view it as like, I'm more of a masculine man is like what we're saying, in my opinion, more of an alpha man. More of what I'm saying. Not that I necessarily buy into that whole fucking thing anyway. I'm just saying, if I were to give my definition, it's more of that, more of someone who's more like that's the stoic principle.
Yeah, I would say stoic. Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm sure you're very familiar with stoicism, like so. More of those types of principles, not someone who just tries to fight everyone and start this and start that. I'm like, it's like a temper tantrum, in my opinion. It's more like a temper tantrum.
Exactly.
You know, that doesn't have any of that under control. And when you're in those types of situations, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody says something, so then you go right back even harder. And then what turns out, say you fight, but like say something happens, say something bad happens, say I don't know, bro. Say you knock them the fuck out. They're up in the hospital. Say you get arrested, then you got to do time, then you got to do that. All over
exactly
2 words. You know what I mean? And nowadays, bro, like back in the day, my grandfather, my mother's father, bro, they would, you know, they'd settle everything like this. No problem, over, done with. That's it. Now you don't know if somebody's got a gun, knife.
Oh,
I've heard stories in the news and different things. You know, there was a story, I think Trenton years ago. I think it was Trenton. Guy walked in. I guess he accidentally stepped on the guy's shoe. He went out and fucking blew his brains out because he stepped on his shoe.
It's crazy.
Like
so crazy.
Like, can you imagine? Like, I mean, not that anything necessarily happened, but just that little thing. People are nuts, bro. They don't have any
you just spend the rest of life
respect for life.
Yeah.
Exactly my point, bro. And was it worth it? Was it worth it? I would say no, in my opinion. But maybe he thought it was. I don't know. But that's the type of people you deal with. Again, temper tantrum type people that don't have. And that would be a situation that just spiraled tenfold.
Exactly.
That you would actually kill someone over that. You know, that's crazy. You know, and a lot of times it has to do with, you know, how you were raised and maybe things, you're missing different stuff. That's another conversation. But it can get that bad where you don't have control of yourself like that. It's not a good thing. You know, you have to be, especially in a professional setting.
Oh my god!
If somebody writes a nasty email, you're gonna go choke them at their desk, like, yo, don't you ever fucking say that shit to me again. You can't do that, bro. You have to be control yourself.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I'm just gonna pause real quick. I just gotta pee real quick. All right. Let me pause it. All right. It's a downgrade from smoking cigarettes.
Oh, it says you left.
But so that was another question. That was a good question.
You left.
What? Oh, is it back yet?
Myself now.
That's
I can hear you. Oh wait, Ryan rejoined. Okay, I guess we're good now. All right, what were you saying?
Okay.
Hey, brother. Want to see my dog?
We were talking about all that personality stuff. I was just questioning. What do you think? Like, that's a great question. Hey, oh my god, that is a small
Rocky.
dog.
He's like
Rocky,
one.
is it? How old is he?
He's a little shit.
He's like a baby.
No, he's like
3 pounds?
Or no, not 8. Yeah, like 8 pounds, bro. He's a little shit.
Oh my god, such a little baby.
Thank you.
That is a cute dog.
No, I got Rambo.
Is that your only dog?
Rambo. We'll come over. Come here. I'll pull him. Come here. I see you. I'll pull him. I'll bring him up when he comes over. What were you saying?
But we were talking about all like the personality traits. So what do you think like your biggest personality flaw is? Like for you personally, like, what do you think like when you look at your personality? Like, what do you think that's something that you deal with that's like for me, like for example, like my biggest what I see like internalized is like my biggest flaw is like I just have a big. There he is, Rambo. Is that
same type of
dog? The same type of dog?
He's like 12 pounds or 10 pounds. So they're both mini poodles. This is Rambo. All right. Go away now. See ya. All right, continue.
But like, so for me, like I would say my biggest personal flaw is like I have a hard time with like having like sympathy for other people. Like it's just a hard time. I don't know if it's like a hard time connecting, but I just have like such a hard time. Like if it's not happening to me, I have a hard time like feeling sympathy for other people because it's like I don't know if it's like how I was raised or like being a guy. It's always like, all right, dude, like just suck it up, like whatever. So it's like when someone else tells me their problems, I always had such a hard time. And I don't, not that like I like that about myself. Obviously, I know it's a flaw because it's obviously I want to be able to like connect people and like understand people and stuff like that. But it's just I always have such a hard time like I mean, like something that's not like stupid. Like if someone got fired from work, it's like, oh, dude, like you're getting another job. So I always have a hard time. Always just like
well, you probably don't like the negative because usually when it's sympathizing, it's a negative situation. It's not like oh, I just won $1 million. All right, bro, I don't care. Like it's like a positive thing. Like you probably be more positive. You'd probably be more positive with response too. So maybe it's like you don't like. Not that maybe it's not that you don't feel bad necessarily. I'm sure, like I know you well enough to know you're a good dude.
Yeah.
Like maybe not that you literally don't give a shit. Yeah. Like like sometimes like you're like, oh fuck you, I don't care. Like maybe it's because like a lot of those times is that type of stuff is like negative, right? And like I don't really like to hear negative. I don't really like to hear negative things either. But it's all in your perception of things. You could be that person losing your job or whatever it may be. But it's like, all right, maybe sometimes you have to take a step back in life to be launched forward much further.
Yeah, right? That's how exactly. That's a good point. That's how I think. I never think of anything ever bad happened to me. Like if I were to lose my job, it's like, oh, dude, well, like you never know. Like 6 months, I might get a better job. Like that might have been the opportunity I needed to like. Yeah, that might have been the opportunity I needed to like, get rid of that job that I didn't like anyway. So that's how I always look at everything.
Exactly. Like, so maybe that could be part of it. And sometimes two people, it depends on how they themselves, when they're coming to you with something happen. Maybe they're complaining types. Sure. Maybe they're the type of people that like to complain and they just talk about the negative thing constantly. Yeah. Hey, that wears on you too. You absorb that like negativity in your life. Exactly, you're trying to be like here, positive, and focus on this. Yeah. Like this nonsense is like distracting you a bit from it. So it could be like who's delivering it, how they are. It just maybe like one aspect to it. I think. As far as me,
yeah. It might never be something you're dealing with now. Like maybe it's something you internalized like a couple of years ago, and now like you've been better at it because you realize it or something like that because you're always trying to improve. So
one of them is what we were just kind of talking about that I've improved upon. Sometimes you joke around, bust balls, with guys or whatever, friends, this and that. Mm-hmm. Nothing. It was nothing physical or violent. To be fair, it was just words, like joking around and stuff like that. But like, sometimes if certain things were said, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I would respond. I would always respond one, and sometimes I would go right, like boom, because I'm a very witty, quick person with my
Yeah,
responses. So
yeah,
sometimes I'd go like right for the
yeah,
jugular
exactly.
immediately,
Yeah,
like boom, done, 0 to 60. But not
yeah,
that I was getting violent or angry. Like I
yeah,
would just fucking go, and it's like I had to learn to like, look, you can't
yeah,
bite everything. You can't bite everything. Sometimes people say things.
yeah,
All right, one ear, not the other. Don't acknowledge it because you start to get in the sense of,
yeah,
all right, this is what I'm noticing about myself, and then it's like, all right, is it what they're saying?
yeah,
Is it who's saying it? Or is it me? Why is that maybe
mhm,
bothering me a little bit to cause me to want to respond in that way? Even if what I said was true,
yeah,
you're still going at real quick, like here to just, I'm gonna like Mortal
yeah,
Kombat, bro, finish him.
exactly.
Like immediately, boom, finish him. That was me.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, never anything violent or anything like
exactly.
that. Wasn't like that. Not to the capacity that we were talking about. But
Yeah,
I noticed that about myself. I'm like, that's you can't do that all the time. There's a time and a place for everything. You got to be in control of what you
mhm,
do or what you respond to and stuff like that. And not everything requires a response. I'm the type of person I do like to communicate. So I'm not the type of person who's ever going to ignore someone.
yeah,
Like if they say, "Hey, bro, what are you up
yeah,
to?" I'm going to answer you. I'll tell you the truth. Either I'm doing something, I'm not doing something, I can't do something.
yeah,
Some people like maybe they just don't answer like that. I could never do that. But with that,
yeah,
I don't think that I
yeah,
I don't think that I should not respond to people, but I also realize that not everything requires a response either. Because sometimes you're involving yourself more so than
yeah,
necessary, and when that person that maybe you're dealing with doesn't appreciate you in the first place. So, with experience, you start to assess
mhm,
people in those situations individually to see, is this worth it? And now I start to ask myself, like
yeah,
I think I'm like more religious and spiritual, whatever you want to call it. And so now I look at things
mhm,
like as far as my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, whatever it is, I try to keep in mind, like, all right, would this please God? And does this align with my goals? So,
yeah,
not that I'm going to be a perfect person, bro, but sometimes, you take if you could
yeah,
ask yourself those questions, does this align with my goals? Would this please God? You're like, and then you start to think of it in like a different capacity, like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this is maybe I shouldn't be
yeah,
involved in that.
exactly.
Maybe I shouldn't to go there or whatever, because you could see a little bit into the future, so to speak, of how that situation would play out, and you see if it's really something you should be involved in or not, whether it's people or a conversation or whatever it may be. So
Yeah,
I would say those things, if the things that I've noticed in the past that I've like since worked on, and much better with now.
yeah. You think it's made you like not a better person, but say you think like it like added value to your day to day life? Like you've noticed like an improvement, like on how you just
Oh,
feel, like
100%.
you
It's
feel
been,
better about
yeah,
yourself,
100,
or you
100,
just
100. I'm not going to say I'm like a perfect person, but yeah, like it's like 100%. There's been so many times where I
no,
could
no,
have
no,
responded to things, and as time has gone on, I just either ignored it or just responded to differently. Because now you also take
yeah,
into consideration perception and perspective. Like perception is how you're viewing things,
yeah.
but
Whew.
the but the
What a
perspective is like of the
conversation.
other person. So like what I'm saying to you is my perception and how I'm seeing it. But if I'm taking into consideration the
Yeah.
perspective of how you're viewing it, things change a bit because you don't really know how.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, you don't know how the other person is engaged in it. You may or you may not. So it's like a whole
Exactly.
different aspect. So it's like I said, you have to do a lot of the work on yourself and understanding things to become a better person and start to operate
Mm,
on a much higher level. You know what I mean? And once you get there, and I can tell you are like not that not that like people
oh
are
yeah.
stupid. I don't. And it doesn't mean you're better than other people, but like sometimes when you
Mhm.
deal with people, it's so obvious they did none of this. Sometimes they're still operating on
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
very very low
Yeah.
frequency of just like emotionally responding, and everything's a problem, everything's this. And it's just like I could just tell you never
Yeah.
grew.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And it's crazy. And it is crazy to think, like what you said, like it's like even if you're not, like you said, obviously other people are seeing the benefits of you growing as a person too. But like even if you're not growing for other people, like if you're growing for yourself, because it's like makes your day to day, like even if nobody else notices that you
Right.
don't bite back real quick in arguments and with that, but it's like for your day to day life, it's such an improvement that you don't have that stress on yourself. Like hey, like because like I used to be like same way, like love to argue
Yeah,
because I
that's what
love
it
to
was.
talk and I just love
That's
to
what it was. I
argue.
love
And
to
like with your
argue.
boys, like
That's what it
I'll
was.
argue like I'll yeah, that's what I was. It's the same. Like I would know I was arguing the wrong thing, like the devil's advocate, and I would still want to argue. Like I would just love the debate, and like even if they were getting mad, like they would get other people so mad, like you're wrong, but it's like I know, but I just love to argue. It's like I'll argue the wrong thing just for the sake of arguing. So I'm the same way. But then it's like, but it is crazy. What was I about to say? But the thing about perception, which was like totally crazy, like when I heard this, but it was so crazy thing because like how you see yourself. Like I might see myself as a good guy or whatever. I see myself as X, Y, Z. But it's so crazy to think like you're the only person in the world that sees you that way. Like everyone has their own version of you. That's so crazy to think like because it's like you think like like you might think you're a good person, but it's like that's just what you might even be lying to yourself. Like you might be lying to yourself and saying I'm a good person, but then everyone's like this dude is such a dickhead. Like he's a horrible person to be around. But if you don't like have any like introspective or like self-reflective thoughts, like you don't really know how people are taking you unless you are like living like to your values and shit like that. Like I know no one's ever going to call me a liar because I know I don't lie. So no one's going to see me as a liar because there's no proof of me lying to anybody. So like that's something you can reassure. So like unless you like hold yourself to a higher standard of how you conduct yourself, it's so hard to like people could just have the craziest.
That's what the arguing thing. Like I would usually like I differed a little bit there. Like I wouldn't know I was wrong and argue it. I would think I was right and argue it no matter what. Like I always think I'm right type deal. Not like always right, but like you know what I mean. Like in those situations. And also, oh fuck! No, I lost my train of thought. What the hell was I just saying? The arguing thing, and maybe something with the perception, maybe it was that. I don't know. I'll go with that and see if it comes back. But you're right. Like, everyone sees you a different way because like I could have a very positive experience with you. Right? Everything's great. I have nothing bad to say about you, truthfully. Just honestly. Maybe the next guy, maybe one day in the gym, you were whatever, and like maybe you were very quick with somebody, maybe some kid that wanted to use a machine, or that was his only time dealing with you.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks you're an asshole. You're not. But you're not.
It's so crazy.
You know what I mean? Like it's interesting when you start to look at things like that because everyone has a different view of you, and then then as you really dig deeper, you see sometimes people as you get to know them, who they are is really just like almost not fake, but almost like a facade. It's like, yo, do I even know this person? When you start to learn things and understand things.
Yeah. That's just like that's why I love the expression that like, who are you when you are alone? Like when no one's watching, who are you? So it's like, that's crazy. Cause it's like, are you even being honest with yourself? Like you're putting on the facade or like, oh, this, that, and the third. It's like, you want people to see you as this, but it's like, is that even who you really are? And that's the same thing. Like, why do you even want people to see you that way? Like, is that society, like you think like, oh, I look up to guys and that's how they're seen and I want to be like them. So I want people to see me like that. So I'm going to do this. But it's like, that's not even who you want to be. You just want to be based off that. They have something that you want. So you try to base your actions off them. But it's so crazy to think like what you said, like you, like that one instance in the gym, like someone could see you once in the gym, you're in a bad day. But it's so crazy to think like how much of an impact, like, it's like you don't, like, it's so crazy to think like how much of an impact you have on people's lives without even knowing. Like you said, like that's why I love. Like I'm always like, I mean, I am a nice person, but like I always like try to be like really nice to people and stuff like that because it's like I'm at the store, like I'll be talking to like, the cashier people and stuff. Like I'm at the like it's funny because like I go to Walmart every week, and like the lady at Walmart, like I would always go to her line. She like knew about my show when I was competing. She's like, I was like telling her about. She wanted to see the pictures like of my post work, like my cheat meals and stuff. And it's just like. I don't have to do that. Like I could have easily been on my phone and like been on like listening to a podcast in Walmart and like never gave any time. But it's like that's like a connection. Like you never know. Like she might go home and tell her husband, like, "Oh, I met this guy. He's so cool." Like or like he's such a nice guy. And it's like, or she tells her kids, like, "Oh, I met this guy. He's in a bodybuilding. I never heard of it." And just like so cool, like to think like that. And it's like I've had so many like messages before, like just being in the gym and like I've had dudes like message me and they're like, "That was such like." That was the best workout I've ever had in my life. And I like in my mind, like so he's like, yo, can I work in? I was like, yeah, sure. And then like I put him through a couple of sets, like, okay, like you got a couple more, like add some more weight. And I'm just sitting there, like I'm just killing time in between my reps. So I'm talking to him, and then like, I'll get a message like a month later, and like, dude, that was the best workout I've ever had. And I'm like, really? I didn't even put any thought into it. I literally just living my life, just going about my day. And it's so crazy to think like how many instances like that are like taking place all the time that you don't even realize. Because I know that happens to me. Like I'll meet a guy or like someone like. Out or anything like that, like you just bump into somebody, they just have good energy and stuff like that, and it's like, wow, that like might remember them a month later, and it's like, damn, you're that person for so many people that you don't even realize.
I always try to be a good person to people, you know what I mean? Like and be like smile. That's another thing with me. Like I had to learn to like try to smile more because I have like a resting bitch face, bro. I've been told like you're like I just
Yeah,
look very stoic. Like I don't have any emotions assigned to me. Like
yeah,
and I'm not really that kind of guy. I'm pretty laid back and
mhm,
chill. I love to joke around. So
yeah,
I look intimidating, but I'm really like I'm not how I look. Same with you, bro. You're like a big teddy bear. You're a
mhm,
big fucking dude.
yeah. I mean, I would say I'm like the most like
Yeah.
self-deprecating person. There, people are like, "Oh, you're so intimidating." I'm like, brother, man, it's like I literally will make fun of myself the whole day. I'm like, I am not, and or that's another thing because like, I'm a bigger guy. People are always like, I wouldn't want to see you in a back alley. I'm like, I have never been
Like
in a fight in my life. I'm like, so you would probably want to see me in a back alley because I've never been in a fight. I'm like, and I don't want to ever be in a fight. So it's not like I'm like I don't want to be a tough guy.
yeah.
Like I don't like try to give off that person. I'm like I'm nothing. Like people are always like, oh, like when I see you in the gym, I would never want to approach you. I'm like, I'd probably be the person that like you'd want to avoid me because like I'll talk to you for like the whole day. I'll be like calling you that night, like, "Hey, give me your number, let's call. I want to
That's
get on the
funny.
call tonight." I'm like, I love to
Yeah, but
talk. I'm like,
that's
I'm just
important
not intimidating.
how you conduct yourself like that. Like I said, I can't. I mean, not that I came
Yeah.
up with it. I saw it elsewhere after I said it, but I said, like lead with love. You know, love just meaning
Mhm.
a positive emotion as
Yeah.
opposed
Oh,
to
yeah.
fear. That's how I break things down. Love and fear. Fear is negative, and everything associated with that. Love is
Yeah.
positive, and everything associated with that. So if you can kind of lead with that, and it's not always easy. Shit
Mhm.
happens in life. Sometimes you get down, you get knocked down. You know, but if you could try to
Yeah.
lead with that, keep it in mind, and be like that to people, even if it's just a small smile, bro. Somebody could be going through like the craziest shit, no idea. A little smile
Yeah.
to them in the
Literally.
store, or hey, how are you? Like,
Mhm.
what's in your basket? Like, what do you got there? Like, if you could do that, and sometimes when you
Yeah.
get that thought
Definitely.
too, maybe that's God speaking to you. Like, hey, go say something to that person. You good? You know what I mean?
Literally, I tell people that all
So
the time.
it's good to be like that.
Mhm. That's funny because I literally tell people like I tell people all the time because I'm like, oh, I love that girl's hair. It's like, well, go tell her, like, tell her you like her hair. It's like, no, it's like, why not? Like, I'll be the first person, like, because I like love, like, I don't know, it's like something like autism or something like that, but like something like I'm like obsessed with smell. So like, if I smell like cologne, I'm like, yo, who's wearing cologne? I'm like, dude, that's cologne smells super good. I'm like, so like, or like perfume, or like, just like I'm always like, so I'm always like, even, like yesterday, I was in the gym. I was like, man, that cologne smells super good. And the dude's like, oh yeah, it's YSL. And then we were talking about that. And it's so funny thing, like, I didn't have to say anything. Like, I could have easily just like moved upon my day and like kept it pushing. Like, wow, that smells good. Kept it myself. But it was like, you never know. Like, dude might have been like, might
Oh,
have been having a bad
exactly.
day. He might have been like, or he said like he might work from home and live by himself and not talk to anybody. And that might have been the only human
Right.
interaction you had for the day. So it's like, you never know how people are reacting. It's like, same thing. Like somebody's hair, it's like, or like you see like people because I know with guys it's like they don't want to like I feel like every like guys like don't want to like have it taken like they're always hitting on girls but like so like if you think like oh like wow her hair looks good it's like or you notice a girl just got her hair dyed and it's like oh wow that looks I like that color but people don't say anything because they don't want to be taken as like oh he's a creep why did he notice I
Yeah.
dyed my hair or why is he but it's like
Yeah.
I don't even care like it's like I'll just put out the positivity because I like the color of your hair. Like I thought it was cool. Like that's sick. Like
Yeah.
you got your hair dyed, nice. And you never know. She might have been like not confident about her hair, but so
Yeah.
it's like I'd rather put out the energy than to be thinking like, oh, like that was weird. Dude was saying that.
No,
Like
I
why
agree with
not?
you.
And I always tell people that like just make the point to say something because it's like
No.
you never know. And if and like I said, the bottom line, it's never gonna hurt. Like it's not gonna be like it's not going to take anything
No.
away from
No.
either one of your lives. It could be just someone that's like, yo, I like that nice shoes. And then it's okay. And then he never thinks about it again. You never think about it again. And then took 1 second on your day. Or it might help somebody. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's never going
If,
to hurt. So that's
if
why I
the girl thinks
always
you're a
want to
weirdo
let
for
them
saying
know.
something, like, all right, bro, just walk away. All right,
Yeah,
see
no
ya.
problem. Then it's okay. You're never going to see her again. Like, she might thought
Yeah.
you're weird regardless. So it's
Oh,
like, you
I
don't, it
agree.
doesn't matter. So it's like, it's not going to hurt or help.
No, I agree, bro.
But
Yeah.
I have another question for you. What do you think the most proudest of yourself moment you've ever had in your life? Like, what moment do you think like you were the most proud of yourself?
Um, proudest moment. Hmm.
Could be something simple, just like for me, like mine. Like I'll give you an example. Mine is like when I got my CDL. Like when I was 21, I got my CDL. Like no one forced me to do it. My like it wasn't like my dad had his CDL or like he told me, "Yo, Rod, you should do this." Like I just like met guys on. Like I just knew people that got their CDL like to drive tractor trailers, and like I put myself through school to do it. I still worked a full time job, and then when I graduated, like I was so proud of myself because it's actually not in the moment. Because in the moment, like with life, you're just everything's like the next goal, the next goal, the next goal, the next goal. It's always like to the next thing. Okay, I got that next thing. But now looking back, it's like wow, like that was a big moment for me. Like that was like I didn't need to do that. Like I could have easily stayed at my old job. I didn't like. I had to go to night classes. I had to drive myself. I started to go to the gym. Still had to work a full time job, and I was like learn a new skill, do all that. And it was a written test. Like I mean, like to get your permit, it was like to get your permit for your CDL. It's like 100 questions, and it's like I failed my driving permit for my car.
Yeah.
You know, like the written permit. That's like 16 questions. I failed
Yeah.
9 times. It took me like 9 tries to pass the test. But then like my CDL, so I always thought of myself as a dumb person because I'm always like, I didn't do good in school. I couldn't take tests and stuff like that. And then like when I actually put effort in to get my CDL, it was 100 questions and I got it. I was like, wow, like how can I be dumb if I just pass this? I thought I always had that negative self-talk. It's like, oh, like you're stupid. And then I was like, damn, I actually could do it.
Yeah,
So
because you applied yourself all the time. You're not dumb. It's just that you
exactly.
never cared to apply yourself, maybe. Not that you're stupid, because you're not a stupid guy, obviously.
Exactly.
I'd say, I'd probably say a few instances. I'd say, so I was like managing, getting my MBA. I was managing the piss poor end of a relationship and getting a new job, like a new career, all kind of at the same time, and kind of came out of it all for the better because I started the degree prior to getting the new job. So that kind of launched me into that and what I ended up doing. And then the end of that relationship was kind of like me shedding my old skin into my new person because of the time frame. Like I understand why it happened, kind of deal. So I'm proud of that I came out of that on top. Proud that how I handled after my father passing. Obviously, I told you I'm an only child, so things are a bit different. Just me and my mom and helping her out and stuff like that. So I'm proud of myself in that capacity to like try to step up a bit to be the new man, I guess, and take care of all of that stuff and the responsibilities associated with that and her and everything. And then I would say more recently, I'd say like the coaching thing, bro. Like that's something I've I've kind of like, first off, when I was a kid, like I would always get asked, like, "Oh, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I remember my response was always like, "I want to help people." I didn't know what that meant. I enjoy. I get a lot of helping people. If you need me, that's how I provide my value. Yo, can you give me a ride?
Yeah.
Or, yo, can you help me move this? Like, I feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I always said. And then like, fast forward to like now, and I never really, even though it was like something I loved so much and bodybuilding and everything like that, I never really did it. Why? Because there's people that would help throughout the years, whether I was paid or not. You see that they don't listen or they drop off, and like it would bother me. Like you put all this effort and like you don't even listen. Like it hurt me. So that was one reason. The other reason was as it's gotten more popular, bro, everyone's a coach. Everybody's a fucking coach, and like the market's so saturated with it. And like I hear what some of these people who they are, and I know they don't really know what they're saying. They know, and what they're charging. I'm just like, yo, I don't want to be associated with these people. Like I know for a fact that people are like you're raping people and ripping them off for like, and that's them, not me. But still, like I'm looking at the market in that capacity. And then the other one was like, yo, where do I start? Like I know it's an online business. I know it's not like that. I need all this overhead and a building and an office and employees. I know it's not all that. Yes, it's much more complicated and much more money. But it was like, oh, where do I start? I never started my own business. I mean, and at the end of the day, it's your own business. You know what I mean? It's like your own business. You have to be official, legitimate. And a lot of coaches like aren't necessarily that, which I didn't realize after going through all this. Like a lot of people who coach, like they aren't actual businesses. They kind of just do it. Like as far as like a legitimate business. I'm not saying it's a like I'm not nothing against them. I'm not saying that means they don't know anything. I'm just saying like I didn't realize how many illegitimate quote unquote businesses that actually exist as far as coaching goes. So it's not what I want to do. I want to be legit, like through and through, and that's why I've been so particular about how I'm doing things, and like especially the logos took forever because I'm very particular. So, but yeah, it was like a question of like, how do I start? Like, where do I start? So I'd say I'm like proud of myself in that capacity to like, you know what, bite the fucking bullet and just do it because that's usually when I do really well in situations like even at the gym, bro. Like if I'm crunched for time, if I only have like X amount of time and I go in, bro, and I just boom, 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 I get a way better workout. I get done way quicker because I'm under pressure. So when I work under pressure and I have a lot of things going on, I may be like this, but like I function better. Like I feel better. Like I'm like, all right. Like I'm like this. I'm like, all right. That's how I am. So it's like, right, exactly. So I would say those things. If I had to, that's a few things, I guess, but I would say those.
Yeah. That's definitely a big step though, like taking the initiative, because it's like, how many people have that thought of like, oh, I want to start something, and then never do it? Because it's like people like, because I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called. Like people like get like gratification off telling people their goals, but not actually having to do them. Like they want the pat on the back, like, oh, I'm gonna start the business. Oh, dude, that's fucking sick. Like, dude, that's gonna be so sick, but never actually do it. But they're still getting the perks of telling people like they're gonna start because people get excited for them. They're talking about it. It's like they're happy for them, but it's like they never actually have to do any actual work. So then it's like to actually go ahead, like actually like what you said, like building the website, like going on and actually taking the steps and biting the bullet and doing the work. It's like that's huge because a lot of people don't take action on a lot of stuff. And then it's like, you think fast forward 50 years later, it's like, fuck, I did nothing with my life. I just worked a regular job. And it's like, I had all these dreams and aspirations. And it's always just like, if you don't actually take any action, it's like it's quick how fast times will fly right by. You can get in a loop of just working and living your life, going to work, coming home, going to work, going home. Then 5 years later, you realize, like, holy shit, like I didn't do anything but work for 5 years. I did nothing for myself.
And it's like just yesterday, I was in high school. Like it's retarded. Like it's
crazy,
retarded,
right?
bro. Like it's just crazy how fast time flies.
Yeah.
With everything, So it's just funny when you really sit and think about it because things go by so quickly, and especially here in this country, we're always so hustle and bustle, always busy doing something. It's
Exactly.
I think sometimes it goes by even quicker. But yeah, I don't regret anything. I think it'll all come together in the end. Like I told you before earlier when we spoke, I'm doing the.
Yeah.
I think the Google Android stuff is like good. I'm just waiting now, but the Apple developer stuff, so I apparently I set it up as like an individual instead of a company. So I had to call Apple today for them to like migrate it over, and then I have to do a few more things for them to finish that, and then I should be good, and then I can get that information for both, and then I have to upload that into the app site to finish setting things up and everything. So I have to finish setting that part up, and then the other aspect to the app I have to finish setting up is like loading all the foods. So I just have to load like what the weight is, the calories, the protein, all that stuff. So when I go to like say your plan, like say we're a client and we're using the app, like you have it on your end, I have it on mine. I update your program, all that stuff's already there. Just like My Fitness Pal. You say 100 grams of an apple, like, but I want to give you 71 grams of it. Like it'll just automatically calculate it, so I can do things like that in there. Not that I'm dealing with like documents, like I erase, update, like it's much more streamlined and I think better, and it's more maybe user friendly too because everything's through that. The payments will be through there, your programs through that, your supplements through that. You can communicate through that, so it's just much easier all around. And it just takes time to set it up, obviously, but I want to do things right. So when I start, it's like nice and streamlined, not like that I'm dealing with, minor issues like, oh, this didn't work or that, this is, you know what I mean? So, because it's like a second job, right? Because it's not going to be my only thing. So I have to have it more time managed, I guess, as far as what I'm actually busy doing. I just want to focus on, the people, not systems and fixing this and stuff. So,
exactly. That's like, I literally just said this to my boy last night. It was like a funny thing. It was Alex Ramosi talking about. I don't know if you follow Alex Ramosi for that. He's obviously big in business stuff, but he's always like in the beginning is gonna be you are the worst you're ever gonna be in the beginning. So like right now, like with this app, it's like this is the hardest it's gonna be, like because this is the worst you are. It's like you're just gonna keep getting better and better, and like the app's gonna get better, and you just get more and more experience. So it's so funny thing. Like you think it's hard now, but it's like if you like for me with the podcast, it's like okay, like for like I said, it took me like 10 hours to figure out how to get all this stuff. I had to figure out all these different accounts to upload and how to upload and all these different weird links and crazy stuff. But it was like, then I sat there and thought, I'm like, wow, this is actually going to be the hardest it's going to ever be. Because I'm like, once I have the accounts, they're set up forever. Once I learn how to do all the uploading and get everything done and synced, I know how to do it forever. So it's like, this is the hardest it's going to be. It's only going to get better. And then obviously I get better with experience on like how to actually do the podcast, stuff like that. But it's so funny thing, like, when you redo that framework, it's like, wow, this is actually the hardest it's going to be. So, like, if you can get through it now, it's like it's going to keep getting better. So, it's just like,
you gotta
stick it out.
Right at the gym.
I know. Well, once I figure out how to do the actual camera, because I have my actual camera, once I know how to do the camera and we can actually like widescreen it and just like have the mics and stuff like that. But my mics are insane with my camera. I literally had a heart attack. I did the whole work, like I told you yesterday, from the whole entire workout. Went to go turn the mics off. The mic was already off. It's like, come on.
I wonder how much those those mics like they have on the podcast shows. They're probably expensive as shit. I feel like.
Yeah. I think I've seen like some of them. They like only like $100. The ones that they always have like like a boom arm and stuff.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm sure like you get. Yeah, they're not too bad. Like I think I'm sure like the Rode ones, they're probably like super expensive.
Yeah,
but nothing too crazy. But What's that say? Let me see. Another good question. We were talking a lot about relationships. Have you ever been in love? Like, do you think you remember back when you in like your whole life? Have you ever like genuinely experienced
As
love?
far as dating, okay. I'm only
Yeah,
asking that. I thought maybe like
yeah,
parents and stuff like that. Okay.
yeah. No, no. Well, yeah,
Um,
exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think I would answer it like this. I think from who I was in the past to who I am now, I think that was love maybe for me at that time. If that were to be now, it would
yeah,
not be because I have a whole different
yeah,
understanding of what it is and what I want because I know who I am, good and bad, and I
yeah,
know what I want. There's no confusion.
yeah,
Yes, I have a beautiful girl, but there's
yeah,
more to that. Like I know what I'm looking for, so I have an understanding of that. So
yeah,
I'll know
yeah.
because people, you know what it is, dude. In the past, people assume that love is a feeling, and it is. There's a feelings involved, right? But
Mhm.
love more than anything is an action.
Yeah,
You know, you're not you're like if I was dating
yeah,
somewhere now, my girl's like
yeah,
if I had a girl right now, you're not going to be perfect all the time. I'm not going to be perfect all the time. I'm going to be a son of a bitch
yeah,
maybe one day. I'm going to be a dickhead.
yeah,
You can either
yeah,
walk away from that or you still choose to love me anyway. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
because you're not
yeah.
a perfect person, so I look at everything totally differently. So again, just to like reiterate, I would say that I was at that point in time for who I was at that time. But if it were to be now with those same situations and
Mhm.
feelings, I would say no. I knew love as it was then.
Yeah,
What it would be for me now is totally different
yeah,
in regards to what I would want, what I'm looking for, how I'm treated, how I would treat, because I'm a better man now. I'm a better understanding, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
that's how
Exactly.
I think I would respond to that. So if that makes any sense.
Do you think a lot of that? Do you think you learned a lot of like you said like you learned all that? Is that because like you learned from your past experiences in other relationships where you messed up? So like you realize like hey like that was like you guys broke up and then like 6 months later like oh fuck a lot of that was my fault because I was immature or I did that wrong and it's like now like once the dust settled you can kind of see and say okay now I know going forward maybe I got it like you matured a lot
Yeah,
because of them
I think
relationships. You
it's
think a lot of that is
I think it's a mix.
based
I think it's a matter of
on
seeing what you did, what you could improve on, regardless of what it was, and then it's also seeing what they did and understanding that also you may
yeah
have ignored those same things previously. So maybe when you look back, you're like,
yeah
yo, this connects to all these things that I knew from day one, but I didn't know any better at that time. Now, maybe if I
mhm,
were to meet someone and see those same
yeah
things, I'm like, all right, well, I have my resume here with all my experience. Now I know what I'm looking at. Just like a
right,
job, bro. Your job experience on your resume for a new job.
yeah
Dating's the same thing.
yeah
Once you've been have enough experience in dealing with certain things, not that everyone's the
yeah
same and not that you should treat everybody the same because everyone's an individual, but behaviors
mhm,
sometimes tend to connect. Personalities tend to connect. So you could start to see
yeah
things. Maybe if it's like major, maybe just, go the other way. If you're not too sure, you got to find out a little bit
yeah
more to see what you can connect and see, before anything goes much deeper to save yourself the
mhm,
trouble. Because there is truth to that, you know. Like you don't want to make someone pay for the
yeah
sins of someone else. However, there are things you pay attention to. There are
that's a
things that you
great
pay
one
attention to due to your experience. You know what I mean? So I would say it's a mix. Like I said,
yeah
I think it's a mix of seeing where I could have improved, where I was wrong, and doing better and growing from that, and also seeing what they did, what I don't want or do want, in someone, and also seeing that maybe
mhm,
some of those same things I didn't like were prevalent way in the beginning, but maybe I ignored them. There was actually one girl I dated for
yeah
some years, right in the beginning. I remember in the car with my father. He asked me, he's like, "You sure you want to date this girl?" And I was like, I was like, why? Why are you asking me? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. Seems like she's got a lot of
yeah
problems. I didn't know any better. I'm
yeah
young. I'm not 2 years old young, but like
yeah
I'm younger. I'm
yeah
not as experienced. Maybe I was what,
yeah
early
yeah
20s, something like that. And come to find out,
yeah
it transpired. It was, shitty ending. And, if I maybe paid more attention to some things,
yeah
maybe I wouldn't have never been in it. But that one
yeah
was my lesson. That was like the big lesson for me.
yeah
So I don't
exactly
regret it.
yeah
I don't regret. I wouldn't change it. Nothing because that
yeah
really was my learning
mhm,
lesson for relationships and just growing after that and becoming better
yeah
after that. So
mhm.
so yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like for sure, definitely like a lot of like that's the same thing with me, like communication. Like I feel like for me, for like a lot of it is like just becoming a better person. Like because I like with me, like I was never just never really good at communicating in general. Like I was never really like somebody who was like good at like communicating my feelings. I didn't even know my own feelings. It's actually a crazy thing because a lot of like what you said, like you've gotten a lot better and a lot more mature and learned yourself and stuff like that, and like took the steps to be a better person, like self development and stuff like that. And it's so funny thing because it's like I think about people who are like, oh, like identify, like you have to learn to identify your emotions. I'm like, I literally think back on like situations I've been through in my life. I'm like, I can't even like remember how it made me feel. Like I have no recollection. So it's like obviously it would have been hard to be in a relationship because I didn't even know how I was feeling in general because I was so out of touch with my emotions. I just always blunted everything down and always like on to the next thing. It's like, you're a man, shut up. Not that I didn't actively think that. Like I wasn't telling myself like it's not okay to cry. No, I wasn't telling myself that. I was just like hardwired in me without me even knowing. Because then like now that I'm older and I think like, how did that make me feel? I'm like, I don't even know. Like I don't even know how to begin to feel anything. So I'm like, that was definitely a big thing. Like, obviously, I could have been a good in a relationship if I didn't even know how to communicate. I didn't know how to feel stuff, so I definitely couldn't communicate stuff because I didn't know how anything made me feel because it was always just didn't. I don't know if I just didn't think about it or just didn't really care. I don't know. I don't know what the situation was. I just didn't have any emotions. It was like just blunt to the everything was just even good or bad. Like I didn't get mad. Like that was a big thing for me too. Like early in my life, when I was young, like I was arrested like hundreds of times, stuff like that. Like went to jail when I was a kid, and I just didn't care. Like I didn't care about anything. I had no emotions. Like I wasn't mad. Like nothing could get me mad. Nothing could get me sad. I just was like, oh, like they're like, oh, you're going away for 9 months. Like, okay, I don't care. My whole life was like, I don't care. So it's like I just wasn't like good at feeling anything. I just had was like totally emotionless to everything. So like that was like a big thing for like me getting older and getting more mature and just to be wanting to be a better person. And I think it's funny because that was I was going to ask you like, what put you on this path to learning to be a better person? And I honestly don't even know
Um,
what put me on the path, but I'm
actually,
just curious
actually, you
on.
know what? I think this is what I was going to say earlier. Remember, I forgot something. I think this might be. I think this might be that. So
Yeah,
it wasn't. It wasn't really, as far as I can remember, like some event. I mean, things have happened. You learn, you grow.
yeah,
Okay, but it was before my father passed away. Sometime before that. I don't know. Maybe the year prior, or less. I don't know.
mm,
I started with like one question, like that. I started. I think I was in the car. I started to ask myself for
mm,
whatever reason. I was like, "Yo," I was like, "Are you a good man?" I asked myself that. I was like, "Am I a good man?"
mm,
And I just started to reflect on that question alone. You start to say, "Okay, like I do this, I do that," but like, yo, like I've done this, I do that. Like that's not good. And you start to break it down
yeah,
and just ask that. And then obviously after he passed, like it just kind of increased tenfold of a lot of reflecting because now I'm the only man. So that requires a lot of work
yeah,
and reflecting and improving upon oneself to be better and stepping up to be that person. Not that like I don't have a choice right now.
mm,
Like I didn't have a choice. You have to do what you have to do,
yeah,
and that was a part of it. So it wasn't really like
mm.
an event. I don't think it really started with that question and just has increased tenfold. And like with wanting to, you still there? I said you left from.
Yeah,
Um, it really increased like tenfold after that, after he passed, and like um, wanting to, I guess, just be just be better and like really also tied into all that is like purpose, like finding like what's my purpose, like why, almost like asking
mm,
yourself like, bro,
uh,
what the fuck am I doing here? Not in a negative way. Not that you don't want to be here.
literally,
Like you're just like,
I
yo,
literally,
what is the meaning to all this? Like there has to be more to this. They're like, just I go to work and this, and I go to
mm,
bed, and then just one day I'm born, I work, I die. Like I was like, all right, that doesn't make sense. I was like, there's got to be
literally,
more to this. There's a higher purpose to this. There's like, because I believe in God and everything like that. There's more to this. So I said, you know, there has to be something that I'm supposed to be doing. Like, because as a man, I think you have to live a purposeful life. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You have to, otherwise
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not living as a masculine man. You're living as like a grown
yeah,
boy, living as a grown
that's-
boy,
yeah,
right? And that again ties into all
yeah,
this other stuff we were talking about as far as being emotional regulation. Um, but it all started with that, bro. It really just started with like, am I a good man? And it just, you know, increased after my father passed, increased with like I started going to church again, like every week, praying more, like every morning, every night. A lot of reflecting, a lot of internal dialogue, with myself, and
Yeah.
trying to understand who it is that I am, what it is that I want in life, not just in a partner, but otherwise, and recognizing what is my purpose. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it all
Mhm.
started for me personally. I don't know how about you, if it was like a
Yeah.
specific event.
I would say that's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, it was pretty much the same thing. Like I was listening to a podcast, and they were like, "What was your purpose?" And I was like, I actually started crying because I was like, I literally, it was just such like a same thing like you said, like it was kind of like not like a, it was kind of like an aha moment where like it was like, oh, I need to do some like actual like introspective work and like actually do some like personal growth stuff because I was like, I don't even know myself, like I have no idea, like what is my purpose? I'm like, I don't even know like what makes me happy. How do I know what my purpose is? So a lot of kind of once I heard that question, I actually sat there and thought, I was like, oh my god, like I don't know anything about myself. Like I don't know like what makes me happy, what I like to do. I was like, what my purpose is. I was like, I don't know anything. I was like, I don't even know what stresses
Yeah,
me out. Like when you put up that question, it was like, he put up a question on Instagram and was like saying how like stress is such a big problem in people's lives. And I was like, I don't even know what stress feels like. I'm like, I know my, because I had a coach and he's like, what stress? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel stressed, but he's like, well, are you doing this, this, this? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, but that doesn't feel like stress to me. That's just my normal life. And he's like, yeah, but that's causing stress. I was like, oh, I don't know. I have no fucking clue what causes stress or what stress is supposed to feel like. I'm like, the same thing. It's like your life is just
yeah,
so hustle. Got to go to the gym. Got to eat these meals. I got to go to the gym. I have to wake up at 7. I got to do my cardio. I got to cook. I got to post 7 times on Instagram. I got to do this. So it's always like there's so much shit going on that it's like you never really think like what is stress or like what why am I feel what's making me stressed if I am stressed or like so then that made me think like when I that purpose question I listened to that podcast and they're like what's your purpose and I think the dude actually put it as that too. He's like, do you even know your purpose in life? And I was like, that's fucking, because I don't think he asked the question. It was more like he was like challenging you to like, can you tell me your purpose? And I was like, that's crazy because, like I said, I literally started tearing up because I'm like, I literally can't. Because then it like made me think about like everything else. It's like, damn, I don't even know shit about myself. And then I just like went on like this huge journey of like trying to learn about myself and like learn how to connect with emotions and feel feelings and stuff like that. And it's like, I just noticed I got so much more happier about everything. Just I just feel just better in life. I just feel like just like because it's like just like I feel like just like I'm just so much more overall happy. And because there was another question they said like, do you feel lucky? Like, do you consider yourself a lucky person? I was like, yeah, but I was like, I. It's so weird because I was like the way I look because I'm like I'm just such in a better place. I feel lucky because it's like say like something stupid is like I wake up and my protein shake's made in the morning. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so lucky my protein's made. But I made it the night before, knowing I want it made in the morning because I like to have it made. But I just look
yeah.
everything. I
That's
just always like
that's
every little thing.
gratitude.
Like I'm like,
Live in
yeah,
gratitude.
yeah, I
Because
feel like,
you know
yeah,
what we
great,
all, not to interrupt you, but like we
yeah,
all have a tendency, and I think it's society to focus on what we don't have as opposed to what we do. Now, you may want these things. I may like I'm trying to
yeah,
get a new job. Like I may want that new job. I may want to have a successful coaching
yeah,
business. I may want to get married one day, have children, have a
yeah,
family, and I may want those things. But what do I have already
mm,
that I'm gracious for? It's
literally,
so many things that maybe so many people don't even have that. So who am I to focus on what I don't have when I have
exactly,
so much already? I have my life. I woke up this morning. That's a very easy one.
yeah,
You know what I mean? To like start to
yeah,
view things in that way.
yeah,
Work towards what you want, but be gracious for what you do have
yeah,
and say thank you. I appreciate this. This is nice. Even if it was just you made a protein shake yourself
mm,
that you feel makes you feel better.
yeah, literally, and that's the same thing. Like I, yeah, and it's so funny because I'm like the same way. Because it's funny, like it's weird on like how people's perspective are different on everything. It's like you said, like I'm so grateful for literally like everything. Even though like I said, another example was like sometimes I can't even go to bed at night because I'm so excited to go to the gym tomorrow. I'm like I can't wait. Like I get to actually go to the gym and train tomorrow. It's because like coming like today's a rest day, so like I'm home and I want to train. I want to be at the gym. That's where my friends are at. I like the atmosphere. I
Yeah.
love obviously working out and like getting towards goals with that. But it's like I'm in that bed. I'm like, oh my god, I can't. I'm like kid at Christmas. I always say that like on my Instagram. I'm always like, I'm like a kid Christmas Eve waiting to open presents in the morning because I'm like, I'm so excited to get to go to the gym tomorrow. And it's so funny because
Right.
obviously not everyone has that perspective about going to the gym. Like obviously some people don't even want to go, but then people that are just like, it's part of their day. But like I just always look at it. It's like I'm so happy that I get to go to the gym every day and do what I like to do there and stuff like that. And it's like, and then I just
Right.
found something I actually enjoy because it's like if it wasn't the gym, like for the gym, me it's for the gym, but like people who get to go play golf every day, like they get, you don't you get to go play golf. Like that's such a sick thing. Like you get to do something that makes you happy. Because there's some people that like prime example, like my dad, for the longest time, like when I was a kid, he didn't get to do anything that he liked. Like, cause he was he was the sole provider of my family. My mom stayed at home and raised 4 kids, and he had to work. So I always think back and I'm like that, like, because when I was a kid, I didn't really I didn't what's the word like I didn't like
Yeah.
value that, like, or I didn't really like. I was grateful for that. Like I didn't really like. It was just like you don't really see that stuff. But then now when I look back at it, like I'm like, this dude used to work like 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, just to supply for us. Like he didn't get to go to the gym that he wanted to do every day. Like I get to train. That's what I want to do. That's my hobby. It's my passion. Like I'm sure he had passions and hobbies, but he had to put all that on the back burner because he had to work 12 hours, 7 days a week to support for his family. And when you're like, I'm like, that is so crazy thing because I'm like, so that's why, like, I look at stuff like that sometimes where I'm like, damn, I get to go to the gym. Like, 'cause some people don't even get to do that. Like, some people don't have any time. Like, they have to work to pay for their family. They don't have time to, like, do fun shit. And I'm like, I always am so grateful that, like, but it also, it's like, I set my life up to do that. Like, because obviously, like, I could have bought a big ass house and then force myself to work 12 hours a day. And I wouldn't have time for the gym because I would have to pay for my bills. So I set my life up where I have time and I can afford to do that. But I'm still grateful that like that's the way I have my life set up because it's what I enjoy to
Well,
do.
with
But
with what you're
it
saying
is,
about being able to go to the gym, like I mean, when you start to look at things like that, I mean, bro, like whether somebody wants to go to the gym or not, I mean, there's people who don't even have legs or arms. There's people who are bedridden, they have cancer, and it's
yeah,
like, yo,
exactly.
I get to go do something. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard, but I get to go do it. Somebody else can't even get out of their bed
exactly.
if they wanted
Exactly.
to. And they would only wish they
And
could
it
go to
is
the
funny to
gym,
think,
and
for
do
sure.
squats,
Mhm.
and the other thing I was gonna say was as far as
Yeah.
like you not realizing it, what your dad was doing, like when you were younger, like all the time and effort he was putting in, like is because they realize in life, like people can only understand from their current level of like perception of where they're at in life. So like
Mhm.
when you're younger like that, you
Yeah.
don't really realize the time, effort, the hard work, and all this stuff
Yeah.
that your parents are doing for you. Like when
Yeah.
you're older, maybe when you understand better, or even you have kids yourself, then you start to understand. Wow, like my parents did all that.
Mhm.
Like holy shit,
Yeah.
you
All the
know. So
sacrifices. Yeah.
I realized that too. So I think it's like important to like remember that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
All
gonna
right,
take
bro.
one more pee break real quick, all right? Then I got like what
All right,
then I got like
sounds
one
good.
question for you. 1 second. So just to end it off, I'm gonna run through a couple of questions. I just like the like personality questions just to see, like, they're pretty funny ones. They're not like we've been real deep and introspective so far. So these are like just some lighthearted, funny ones that I like to see. So this is a
All
good
right,
one. What country would you live in if it was not the US? Like if you had to relocate, like they're like, yo, other
it,
country,
Italy,
Italy, 100%. Why the
100%
hell?
Italy. I would
Where are
definitely
you
go
at
there. I've
now?
never. You can't see me? Well, you don't see me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Bro, what the fuck?
What the hell? Oh, there you are.
Can
I
you
don't know
hear
what
me?
happened. Yeah, I get you. I don't know what happened. It clicked you out of it.
Oh, I don't know what the hell happened. Am I good now?
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah, you're
good?
good. Yep.
All right.
Yep, everything's good.
100% Italy. I've never been, but I've always wanted to. Um, I've always been infatuated with like ancient Rome. That's why
Yeah.
Gladiator is like my favorite movie of
Yeah.
all time. So I was always wanted to go there. So if I had to choose a place, I'd go there in a
Italy. Yeah.
heartbeat. 100%.
Italy. I was gonna say. I was gonna. The next question was gonna be like, "What's your favorite ethnicity of food?" But I'm gonna guess Italian.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if I were to cheat, I love Italian food, but typically like being a bodybuilder, like more suitable foods for us to cheat. I feel like it was like sushi or like burgers and fries, like I really go to. But sometimes I will go get like, mind you, that's like personal cheat meals. Like if I
Yeah.
had a date or something like that.
Yeah.
Put it that way. If I go to get a dinner reservation, it's usually an Italian restaurant. Like I love Italian food.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. To answer it, yeah, Italian.
So, out of do you like if you had to get rid of all the Will Ferrell movies or all the Adam Sandler movies? Which one would you get rid of?
Ooh. I honestly, I think I'm gonna have to say I think I have to say Will Ferrell. Why? Not because I don't like him, just
Mm,
because I grew up with Adam Sandler
that's
stuff,
me.
like
Me too.
Happy
Yeah.
Gilmore, Billy Madison shit.
I
So
was to say,
like
what's your
I'm
favorite one of
more
those movies?
of
It's a tough question.
I like the if I had to pick one, only one of Adam Sandler, I would say it's between those two, Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison. Maybe maybe Billy Madison because like I love that part where he's in class. He's like,
Yeah,
Today, Junior." That was
yeah, that is
fucking
a good
funny.
part.
So
Oh my god,
if I
that's such a good movie.
if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Billy Madison. And then I like the part where he's doing the trivia or the whatever with Veronica Vaughn, and
Yeah,
he's like she's like taking
yeah,
her clothes off or everything. Yeah, it was funny.
yeah.
I do. You know how many times I've used that as like a line with like girls
Oh
and
my
stuff.
god,
Like
yeah,
if we're like talking, like I make that like into
yeah.
part of the joke. It's funny. But I would say Billy Madison.
That's such a good one too. I love that one. That another one I love of him is Big Daddy too. That's such a classic one. I love
Oh
that.
yeah, that's good too. Yeah, those are good too. I will say those are very good too.
What's like a favorite tradition, like a family tradition you have, like growing up? Like, what's a tradition you look back on? And, like, that's a tradition I love. That like I want to take that with my family when I have kids.
Um, one we used to like. I haven't done this for a long time, but it would be like me, my mom, my dad, like my aunt, my uncle, and them, and my cousins, and then it would also sometimes be like kind of like family friends as well.
Mhm.
Then my dad, actually ended up working with like later after he got out of the union and all that. We would all go to New York every year around the holidays,
Mhm.
you know, and go see the tree, go eat, go to Little Italy, walk around, like make
Yeah.
a big day of it. And then like there was like this certain bread from this one specific bakery. We just called it the Italian bread, even though it's not called that. And we would go to New York like literally just to get that bread, and we would like stockpile it for a little while, buy these loaves and freeze them. But like it was nice going, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to get together and go do something like
Yeah.
that. So I would say that even if it wasn't New York, you just maybe
Yeah.
at least once a year where you did something outside the home, where you got
Yeah.
together, like say with my future wife, like
Yeah.
me, my family, her family, get together and go do something somewhere
Yeah.
once a year, even if it's just for a day. I think that would be something nice. Take the kids and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's something I'd want to definitely continue, even if it wasn't New York.
Yeah.
So
That sounds so fun. Though. Like, I love them traditions like that, like going and doing something every year, like going to a place, like like you hear people like, oh, we go to the mountains every year. It's like that's such a cool thing to do, and it's
yeah,
so funny thing like the parents have that and like they have that like because obviously like what like you know how busy life gets stuff like that. So like for parents to keep traditions like that with their kids, it's like that's so cool. And it's like something like that that you still remember that now, like that many years later. It's like I remember like Christmas traditions from when I was a kid. And it's like stuff that I still remember to this day. It's like wow, it's so cool that like they did that, and it's like that they stuck that through. But I love
yeah, you
traditions.
want to continue it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like them too. It's important, bro.
yeah. What do you think your favorite vacation you ever been on was? What was like the most memorable vacation, and where was it?
Um, to be honest with you, I haven't traveled as much as I would have liked to, but if I had to pick one, uh, well, I would say probably say two. I'd say I went to the Dominican actually for a friend's bachelor party, um, not too long ago, like a couple years ago, whatever it's been now, which was cool, and I liked it just because like
Yeah,
getting out of the country. Because
yeah,
other than there, the only place I've been outside the country technically is Canada for an Alaskan cruise some years ago,
yeah,
which was cool. But I'm more of like a that was like a different type of vacation, I guess you could say.
yeah.
I would say Dominican, and when I was a kid, like very young, we went to Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
We drove down, so it was like the whole. We didn't fly; it was like the whole drive, the drive back. So
Yeah,
it was a lot of time. Yeah, it was me, my mom, my dad, and my grandfather
yeah,
that went. So and I remember it was like really cool going to like all the like southern type things. Oh, Myrtle Beach was beautiful, from
yeah,
what I remember. So I would say probably those two. But when I go to Italy, that's going to be number
yeah.
one.
That's another one that's on the list. Another funny one. I just love hearing their stories. It's so funny thing. Like back when you were a kid, it's like, what was your first kiss? Like that. They're always such funny stories. It's like
Bro, I
you're
remember
so
mine.
yeah. It's saying it's such a funny, always hilarious stories. What was the first kiss?
It was kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Like it wasn't like a
Yeah,
makeout session.
yeah, yeah,
Let me
yeah, yeah. But
clarify.
still, yeah,
We were all sitting like Indian style while the teacher's teaching. You know, her back's to us, whatever, and we're all talking. I think it was the girl that always said it was like this little girl in my class that always said she was going to marry me. I think
yeah,
it was her. So we were sitting next to each other, and I guess everybody knew she liked me or whatever. And like everyone's like daring us, like kiss,
yeah,
like you kiss her. So like we did like a quick like
yeah,
right in the class while the teacher was like teaching. So that was like the first
yeah.
like kiss. It wasn't like I said
Mhm.
making out, but but I was like innocent, bro. It was like cute
Yeah,
looking back
yeah,
on it. You know, it wasn't like malicious or anything.
yeah,
Like it was just cute, like a really
yeah.
cute thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, but I remember that. That's funny.
That is so funny. It's
So
always funny to think back. It's like so when you're like a little kid, it's like you don't even know why you're kissing. Like you don't even know like obviously an adult like kissing is to show like passion for like loved ones or anything like that. It's like a sign
yeah,
of like intimacy or whatever it could be. But when you're a
Right.
kid, you don't even know that. It's just like adults can't say you want to kiss, and it's so funny to think like that's like dare you to kiss, and you do it. It's so funny to think like that's how kids are, and it's like and it's forever. Like that's like you go back 100 years, kids were the same way as kids are now. Like kids did that 100
Oh
years
yeah.
ago. Kids are doing that now.
Yeah.
Just I think like everyone has that story of like their first kiss is like, yep, we were a bunch of kids and like someone dared us, so we kissed. It's like so funny to
Yeah.
think like it's such a good traditional.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that's
cute.
what everyone does.
It's
What?
cute. Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
a cute. It's
exactly,
like a cute little story.
exactly. And then the last question is there anything like you think? What is something that you like think about yourself that people don't know about you that they would be surprised, like something that you would be they would be surprised about yourself, like even it's something you like or something you do, or it's like you collect Pokemon
I
cards, whatever it is.
when I was a kid, I did that. Honestly, I would say it would be my personality. I don't think that I am the way that I look.
Mm,
I think that people view me between the beard, shave my head, bigger dude. I think I'm pretty good looking, whatever, not being cocky. I'd be like, handsome guy, you're a handsome guy, right? So you put all that together, you're an intimidating
yeah,
person. You're an intimidating person, right? To look at, combine that with the facial
yeah,
expression, it's, we have that
yeah,
more serious look. So, people are intimidated that by default, and thus whatever they see is what they're going to
yeah,
assume. So they're going to judge you based off that. And I think once people get to know me, they see that I'm not like that. I'm actually pretty easy to
yeah,
talk to. I'm very personable. I can communicate very well, and I think that I can be very deep. Like I actually have a lot to say about a lot
yeah,
of things. I'm intelligent. I'm not like I have nothing important to add
yeah,
to a conversation. I actually have thoughts and opinions. And as
yeah,
I've gotten older, and maybe you feel this way as well, like, when you're working out, oh, bro, how much you bench? You get a lot of attention for the
yeah,
physique stuff, right?
yeah,
A lot of things throughout the years.
yeah,
And it's all well and good, but now I try to like change the conversation into something more intellectual. Because like I'm like,
yeah,
yo, I know like that's there, like but I'm more than that,
yeah,
and I try to have an intelligent conversation if I can.
mm,
So I think that like those parts to me, I would people would be more surprised that I'm not a piece of shit based off of how I
yeah,
look or dickhead. Because I've asked
exactly.
people, but like I've asked people like, what did you think about when you first met me? Like when you
Oh, I love
saw
that.
me, I was a dickhead. I look like a dickhead. I'm an asshole.
Mm,
Or not I am, but I look like a dickhead. I
yeah,
look like an asshole. I'm intimidating. I look
yeah,
like I look like I think I'm better than other people I've gotten. I'm like,
yeah.
bro, I'm literally none of those things.
It's crazy.
So I think that's what people would be surprised about me if they actually when they get to know me or if they get to know me that I'm
Totally
not
valid.
what I yeah I'm not what I look like because I think we all do that, bro. You
Yeah,
see someone, you judge them, and then you find out later.
yeah,
I think it's natural. It doesn't make it
yeah,
right, but I
yeah,
think we all do that to some capacity.
yeah.
You know what I
Like,
mean? So
protect, like that's like a lot of people that do that. Like they judge based off that, just like out of like a safety thing for themselves. Like oh, like they don't want to. They try to like protect themselves. Like so, it's a little bit
right,
jump to cost. That's actually hilarious though too, because it's like funny. Like both of us bigger guys, both we get the same reaction. People are like oh intimidating. So it's like us two talking on a podcast about like love and personal growth and stuff like that. It's like
yeah,
not like 'cause people ask me like oh what's a podcast? Like oh I'm starting a podcast. Like oh what's about bodybuilding? It's like nah, I really don't like that. I mean, obviously I love bodybuilding and stuff like that. Like I love talking about the gym, but it's like I like having actual conversations, getting to know people, like stuff like that. It's like
yeah.
like if I never had this conversation with you, like we would have never known like all this deep introspective thoughts about like personal growth and love and just like your dad and stuff like that. So it's like we can always talk bodybuilding. Everyone knows how to do bench presses. Everyone knows that kind of
Oh
stuff. It's
yeah,
like
I know.
we all know that stuff. Same thing. Like people come approach you in the gym. It's like how much you bench. It's like yeah, that's just like they're so like borderline baseline conversations. It's like all right, but it's like I like to actually like talk to people and get to know people and actually have
Yeah.
communication and actually like learn because I'm saying like learn stuff and just learn out and just learn people's story in general, just like talk. So it's like it's so much fun. But it's so funny to think like now that you're saying that like that's how people like that's something that people don't know about you. I'm like that's also something people don't know about me. So it's so funny to think like both of us on a podcast we weren't probably like it's not what you would expect us to be talking about. So it's funny
No,
because
I
like
was even with
about
opera, bro. I didn't know you liked
yeah
opera music.
exactly
Like
stuff
I
like
found
that
out, I was
yeah
like, oh, okay, that was pretty cool,
exactly.
bro.
Like
Yeah,
love like
like that.
classical music, like Frank Sinatra and stuff like that. Like I love like
Yeah,
because a lot of it's funny because people like talk about it because I don't drink at all. But it's funny. It's like people like I love that kind of music because it's like I feel like you can like close your eyes and like you like picture yourself like in a bar with like Frank Sinatra playing the piano and you're like smoky building. It's just so funny. Like that music's so like transformative and it's such like an art. And I just love that kind of music. So it's just like I get a lot out of that
Oh,
type
I
of
agree
stuff.
with you. No, I agree with you. Some of the stuff nowadays that's popular, bro. It's
Yeah.
trash.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like wet ass pussy,
Right.
bro. Like
Exactly.
that's the name
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Come on,
Does
bro.
not.
Really? And you're listening to that shit, bro? I don't want that garbage in my ears, bro. I don't need that. I don't want that
Exactly.
fucking demon, fucking
Oh yeah.
disgusting, nasty
A
shit.
lot
Like
of
I
a
don't. I
lot of
don't listen to it.
like you said, it's like you are what like, the thing with this is like you are what you consume. So it's like if you consume negativity, it's like tends to be like
Right.
rub off. It's like if you're consuming positivity all the time, it's like and I feel like that's a huge thing too because they say like people like scroll on Instagram, like doom scrolling and stuff like that. Like I try not to do that a lot at all because I watch a lot of like I listen to tons of podcasts like. So I really don't try not to like doom scroll and stuff like that. But it is a funny thing, like when you do start seeing that stuff, and it's like how much like subconsciously that's playing a part on your brains of that because like you're always what you're seeing on Instagram is like girls or like people with a bunch of money, and it's like how is that like makes you feel bad about your own life? It's like damn, these guys are like 20 years old, they're in the Lamborghini. It's like you might start feeling some type of way about your life, but then like you said, like it does not for me because I don't do that often, and also like
Right.
I'm just so grateful. Like I don't need a Lamborghini. Like I'm grateful like just to have my protein shake made in the morning. Like that's something that makes
Right.
me super happy. So it's like I don't need so like obviously, but I could see falling into that trap. Like you see them like, oh, this dude like has a Lamborghini or this girl has this or whatever like that. You see all this on Instagram. It's like I could see like where that would definitely like mess with your brain a little bit. Like you see that all the time. And if you're
Oh
always
yeah.
on Instagram, it's like that's such a crazy thing because it's like then how could you feel grateful to like just be waking up in a warm bed when this dude's waking up in a warm bed like in a penthouse and it's like and he does nothing and like so it's like it is crazy thing like you
Oh,
can
I
fall
know.
into them traps so quickly to like to
We.
not be grateful for what you do have because like you said like it's perspective like we're grateful to go for the gym some people can't even walk so it's like I'm great like so how could you feel gratitude like if you are expecting X out of life like you're expecting to be a millionaire with a Lamborghini and the hottest girls in the world that's what you're expecting so how are you going to be grateful for like what you have now because you expect
Right.
so much more like you expect it so it's like me like not that I don't expect obviously like, I have passion I have goals and expectations for what I want to achieve in life but I mean in today I can just be so grateful for the just like the little stuff that I do have because I know
Right.
like I'm not worried about like the future that like I'm not like the expectations aren't like that crazy like I don't not that I don't have them same expectations but it's like I could still be grounded in the day and be grateful for what I do have but if
Right.
you don't have that mindset, if it's hard, if you don't already have that framework process in, and you're not like self aware, then it would be so easy to fall into them traps of like seeing that type of stuff on social media. And it's like
Right.
if you don't
Well,
have the groundwork there, it's so hard. I can imagine, and I mean, how many people are really doing that much personal introspective self work every day?
oh no. No, I know.
So
Well,
it's like,
you can't compare yourself to other people. You know, I think that's detrimental, and you have to just run your own race and understand that like your timeline in life is different than everybody else's, and everybody's
yeah,
is different. So like, and the other thing is like you may, yo, it'd be cool to have a fucking Lambo. That'd be great.
yeah,
Like to have
yeah,
this and that. Yeah, but like if you're only focused on that, like if you live a purposeful life and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, like those things will not necessarily those specific things, but like I'm
yeah,
saying, wealth or money, whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
success will come if you're doing what you're supposed to, as opposed to just focusing on money. Even in the
mhm.
Bible, bro, it doesn't say money is evil. Like, it
No,
doesn't say being wealthy is evil. The
no,
love of money is
yeah, yeah,
evil. Not
yeah,
having it,
yeah,
so you have to keep that in mind. A lot of people just chase money, like, oh, I want more money, all the money. Look, we need money, right? It's good to have a lot. It makes
mhm,
life a little easier. But like, if you love money that much, like, then you're chasing the wrong thing.
mhm.
If you chase purpose as opposed to money, you're going to live a much better life. Because if you're just chasing money, that's a dead end. You're always
Yeah,
going to want more and more and more.
yeah.
There's no end
And who,
to that.
yeah, literally, and I'm saying, like, who even knows? Like, you think money buys, like, they always say that money buys happiness, but it's like, who knows what you value as happiness? Because, like, you might not, like, to me, like, I don't want a big, like, I don't, like, if someone gave me a mansion, I would take it, but it's like, that's not a goal of
Yeah,
mine. Like, I don't, like, I want
right,
to, I'd rather have a regular house with a wife that loves me and kids that love me and, like, not have to work 24 hours a day to be able to support myself. Like, I'd rather just be around, like, a loving family and stuff like that. So it's like the materialistic, like, the money doesn't, in my head, the money doesn't trigger like, oh, that's more materialistic freedom I have. That's more like time freedom, like that money would buy me. That's what I'm that,
right,
and I know
right, right,
with
right, right.
time brings me happiness. Being able to spend time with, just being able to connect with people like you, or just like being like if I get married and have kids, like being able to like to have the whole day where I wouldn't have to be like, oh, I have to go to work for 14 hours then because we have this $500 million house, so I need to work
Right.
100 hours around every single day just to afford this lifestyle. Like I'd rather like the money wouldn't be buying me material stuff. Money, like I like money. Then the goal of like the aspiration to get more money would be to be able to
Freedom.
just have more time. Yeah, financial freedom to
Right,
have more freedom in my life, not for more materialistic stuff. If they're like, yo, you can quit your job today and all your regular shack and a regular car is paid for, I would do that. I go, like, okay, I don't need a mansion and a Lamborghini. I'll take a shack and a car if it's paid for it. I don't got to work. and I can have unlimited free time, it's like I'd rather do that because it's like, but I know obviously money buys freedom, so it's like that's why I would chase that, but it's not like based off of like materialistic stuff or like anything like that. Because I know materialistic stuff doesn't bring me any type of happiness. Like if like I drove super crappy cars or all beat up, and it's like they're like it was like someone hit my car before and it was like $300 for the copay. It's like fuck it, I don't even care. I'll just drive it like that. I'm not paying the $300. It's like I have no interest in like materialistic stuff. So it's like I know that stuff. That's just me personally. I'm not saying like that. People, it's any or not saying anything's wrong with it. Like obviously people like nice things, but just me, I know personally, materialistic things do nothing for me. Like I know just like having conversations, or like the same thing, like just going out to dinner, like that stuff just brings me so much happiness and value to my life. Like going out to dinner with my friends, and that's like sitting at a restaurant for 4 hours, eating and just messing around. So that like that you could like offer me anything, and I wouldn't change it over that because that's just so much more value in my life than just anything like money can buy me. Like that's just like, which I love that kind of stuff. So it's like I know that's me personally. So I don't chase the money stuff, but obviously that would help.
Still gonna take you to Toscano by me, the steakhouse.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have to. I mean, I was 290 this weekend. This morning, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I'm gonna take a week off of cheat meals. I just was like 290 this morning, so I was like, oh boy.
Damn.
It was like 290.
Yeah, but you don't, bro. You don't. Yeah, but you don't look that. Like you don't.
Yeah.
You don't look fat though. Like you're very good shape for 290. You know what I mean? Well, like you don't. Yeah. You're not like 290 and fat. You're 290 like, oh shit, he's in shape.
Yeah. I mean, if I was on 295, I was like, I'm stressed because I got to do cardio and shit today. So I actually seen this funny thing. Not funny, but on Instagram, I'm so excited to try it again because I made it the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like you get one banana, you smash it up, take two big strawberries, smash it up, one, and then put an egg and 2 tablespoons of flour, mix it around, and then it makes pancakes. I was obsessed. It was so good.
You tried it?
Yeah, so and it's like literally because I already eat strawberries as it is, and so it's like a banana and an egg. What's that like? 50 calories or something like that? Like that's nothing. I'm like, and it's so good. It's like little pancakes, and it's like such a good sweet little treat. And I'm like, all it is flour. I'm like, the raw ingredients are everyone like I had them at my house. Yeah. I literally just and then when I went to Walmart, I bought like gluten-free, non-GMO flour just in case. I try not to eat gluten, even if it hurts my stomach or not. I'd rather just avoid it because my stomach is so weird. But it was so good. It was like literally nothing. I'm like, it's so easy to make. I was like, I cannot, because today's a rest day. So I'm home. I have much more time. So I'm like, I can't wait to eat it today. And then I brought like decaf coffee. From now, I'm always at the diner and shit. I was there one time. The guy's like, someone at another table got a decaf coffee. I'm like, you know what's crazy? I've literally never thought to drink decaf coffee. And I love coffee. But I was like, I'll try it. And then I got it. I was like, well, literally just coffee. I was like, why wouldn't I like it? So then I bought some at my house. I bought some at Walmart, so I'll have that today. Little pancakes and coffee. You there? What the hell? You. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we lost Chase, but I'm not sure what happened. So that is a wrap. Episode 3. Great conversation. That was a long one. Super good with Chase. That was really good. I like that. Definitely learned a lot. Really good conversation. So that's a wrap for tonight, guys. Thank you.